Hi collective, I am the Nosy Witch. Welcome back to my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. This reading is titled, What's the Tea on You? What are you serving them? So this reading is going to be all about the current tea on you. We are going to be spilling the tea regarding you and what's going on in your life currently. This could also talk a little bit about what other people are saying and thinking of you in terms of things they are talking about when it comes to you. So we might talk a little bit about energy from the not so distant past, but also the energy you are going to be stepping into going forward. So in regards to the format of this video, it is going to be relatively similar to my other videos in that throughout the first portion of the reading, we are going to be looking at one oracle card, and this will represent the overarching energy. And then we are going to move on to the tarot portion of the reading in the second half, and I may roll the astro dice for a little bit of further confirmation towards the end. So it is similar in that way, but it is a little bit different in the way I have laid out the piles today, the piles for you to choose from. As usual, there are 4 piles, but we are actually using 4 different tarot decks today. I'm still finding my style when it comes to doing these readings, and I just wanted to try something a little bit different, and this is just what I felt was working for me for this particular reading. So in terms of the piles, like I say, we have 4 to choose from, and as usual there is sort of 4 icons, in this instance stickers to choose from. Sometimes I do little crystals, sometimes I do stickers, but today we've got stickers. So the only difference is you will be choosing from a tarot card pile rather than an oracle card. So it's the same principle. Obviously use your intuition to kind of choose a pile for you. Exactly the same principle. If you are feeling out of touch with your intuition today, you are more than welcome to use a random number picker online in order to pick a pile for you. If you are finding that the pile you have chosen just isn't resonating with you, that is more than okay. You do not have to accept it as your story. You can feel free to go back and choose a different pile. If you're finding that none of the piles are resonating with you today, that is also more than okay. We are very fortunate that we have plenty of other readers and plenty of other readings out there for us. My readings might not resonate with you at the moment. They might at some point in the future. I do set the intention that these readings will be timeless. So please feel free to come back anytime. You are always welcome back here to choose a pile and to listen to any one of the readings, or you can even listen to multiple readings if you would prefer. So I am about to run through each one of the piles so we can get started and so that you can go straight to your timestamp and enjoy your reading. Just a little side note that I haven't got nails on today, so please ignore my nails. I am trying to give them a little bit of a break from fake nails, so I have just put a little bit of gel polish on, but I'm really bad with like skin picking, so they do look a bit of a mess because I've picked the skin around my nails, so please try to ignore them. I'm trying to give my nails a break. I didn't fancy putting fake nails on today, and that is that. Hopefully they don't look too bad, but I don't know how they look on camera. So yeah, just a little side note about that. Before I run through each one of the piles, I do just want to say thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate every single person who listens, who likes, who leaves me a comment, and especially who subscribes. All of it just means the absolute world to me, and I just appreciate it so much. So if you would like to do that and you haven't done any of that so far, please feel free to do that. It would just help me out so much. It would help me and this channel grow, and yeah, it would just mean a lot to me if I knew my messages were resonating with people. So yeah, please do that if you get a chance. Without further hesitation, let's run through the piles. Okay, so over here we have pile 1 and the Weird Cat Tarot with the Call Me sticker. That's pile 1 and the Weird Cat Tarot and the Call Me sticker. Over here we have pile 2 and the Plastics Oracle, a Mean Girl Tarot deck, which is just so beautiful. By the way, I absolutely love this deck. And we have the ice cream sticker. So we have the Plastics Oracle, a Mean Girls Tarot deck, and the ice cream sticker. Over here we have pile 3 and the Wandering Moon Tarot and the cat reading sticker. We have the Wandering Moon Tarot and the cat reading sticker. That's pile 3. And over here we have pile 4, the Everyday Witch Tarot and the milk sticker. That is pile 4 with the Everyday Witch Tarot and the milk sticker. So we have pile 1, pile 2, pile 3 and pile 4. Once you have made your selection, Feel free to pause the video if you would like to sit on this for a while, meditate on it for a while and make your selection. But once you have made that selection, please go to the pinned comment below or the description box below, and you will find timestamps there that will take you to your chosen pile. Once again, I really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy it, please let me know, please comment. Again, it would just mean such a lot to me. So yeah, thank you for being here and enjoy. Hi Pile 1 Collective, welcome to your reading. If you chose Pile 1 and you chose the Weird Cat Tarot and the Call Me sticker, this will be your reading. If you want further information regarding what this reading will entail, then please check out the description box below or the pinned comment below, or you can have a listen to my intro if you haven't done so already, and that will give you some further information. But basically, this reading is all about what the current tea on you is. This reading is what's the tea on you, what are you serving them? So this reading is all about what might be going on in your life currently, but also the energy you are stepping into in the not so distant future. This could also include what other people are saying and thinking about you. What kind of tea are they talking about? Which aspects of your life are being pushed into the forefront at the moment? And what are people discussing when it comes to you? So obviously you have picked from one of the 4 tarot piles and you have picked the Weird Cat Tarot. However, as usual, we are going to start by looking at one oracle card. So there is actually an oracle card pre-selected at the bottom of each pile. You can kind of see it, the purple card at the back. So we are looking at which oracle card you chose first, and that will be the first portion of the reading, and then we will move on to the tarot in the second portion of the reading, and I might roll the astro dice at the end. So just a little side note, if you haven't yet done so, please subscribe. That would mean the absolute world to me. Please like the video, please comment, and thank you so much to every single person who has done any of that. I just really appreciate it so much. I know I say it all the time, but I mean it. So yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting me in whichever capacity that you can. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to put the tarot cards to one side for now so we can focus on our oracle card. So let's have a look at the oracle card that we pulled for you, Pile 1. Okay, we have number 27, Hydrate. I always just like to mention the numbers that come up on the oracle cards. So here we've got the number 27. This could be a significant number to you in some way. Perhaps this is an age you are now, or an age you are approaching, or just an age when something significant happened. Equally, it could just be a number that you see a lot of in terms of synchronicities, angel numbers, things like that. The numbers 2 and 7 could just generally mean something to you. It doesn't have to be the case, but I just like to mention it. It's a little bit of extra confirmation if it does mean something. Okay, so the first overall message that I'm getting, Pile 1, the tea on you, what people are saying about you, I think, is that you are glowing. There is something about you having leveled up your self-care routine of some kind. This could be a beauty regime. It could be something as simple as you, I think, really focusing on yourself, your needs, and really starting to focus on you and look after yourself. Maybe this is you remembering simply to drink more water, to hydrate yourself, to quench your thirst, to give your body what it needs. Something about you maybe really focusing on nutrition, focusing on fitness, on looking after your body. And people are really noticing this. It is something that people are actively talking about. And I think they might be kind of saying like, oh, you know, like what has Pile 1 done? Like, what is your skincare routine? You know, we need the routine. Drop it, drop your routine or something like that. They want to know what you are doing to look so good. You know, even on the card, you can see with all these kind of colours radiating from her, these colours surrounding her, it's like she's glowing. She steps into the room and she lights it up, and other people are noticing. They want to know, you know, what you are doing, Pile 1, to make that happen. And I feel as though like a lot of this glow up could be internal, like potentially you have worked on your self-confidence. That is something, if like I'm getting the phrase like if you have started pouring into your own cup again, because maybe there was a period of time where you kind of had to stepped back and you made somebody else the priority, like you were focusing on something else that wasn't helping you level up. And I'm getting that now you are really taking that time to focus on yourself. And it's not at the expense of other people in terms of like you're just being like selfish and not paying attention to your friends or relationship or family or job or anything like that. I don't mean it in that way. It's just there was something that may be harmful in the not so distant past that you were pouring all your energy in towards, let's say, and now you are taking that energy and you are pouring it into positive things. And that includes looking after yourself. It includes, establishing this beautiful, healthy routine. And it is really starting to show on the outside, whatever you have done, whether it's a fitness routine, whether it's, leveling up your skincare, getting products that suit your skin, getting hair care products, makeup, just doing something in terms of like spending that time on yourself has not only enhanced your internal confidence, but it is actually showing on the outside. People are noticing, they are asking, what are you doing to look the way you do, to get that beautiful glow? But I feel as though like, yes, although it might be an external thing to some capacity, it's like the confidence, the work you have done on yourself is radiating from the core of you, like it's coming from inside. People can sense that you are filling your own cup up, that you have been focusing on yourself, that you have been giving to yourself in all the ways that you need to. And just a side note, with this hydrate coming through, I think you have been in this energy of learning to give to yourself in terms of making sure that you get enough to drink. However, I do just want to say that if you are sat here listening and you are a little bit thirsty and you've not had a drink, go and get a drink. Like this is telling you to go and get a glass of water and sit down and carry on with the reading, because you are getting so good at looking after yourself, pal one. But this could be something that you've struggled with in the past. It's like maybe you have had to, for some people, things like drinking water come very naturally. And I know that sounds really strange, but if you're like me, and I feel like some of you might be, if you're like me, sometimes you have to actively remind yourself to do even the basics, because I'm someone who can get so lost in what I am doing, like whether it's these readings or, just one of my other hobbies, or like something I'm looking at, a piece of information that I am digesting. I can get so lost in that it comes at the expense of, my other bodily needs. And I think sometimes you might be the same, pal one, like you might need to remind yourself to hydrate your body, to just give your body what it needs, to cook a nice nutritious meal for yourself or something like that. But I feel as though this is something that you've been potentially putting a lot of emphasis on, and again it is really starting to show externally. Like people are starting to notice that you have changed your mindset, you've changed your routine, and you are glowing. Because with the focus being on water as well, it's also making me think of like cups energy, or it's making me think of water sign energy. And you do not have to be a water sign. Of course, it could be significant in your chart. I will roll the astro dice towards the end of the tarot reading. So it could be significant, but it doesn't have to be. But this makes me think that this glow up, it isn't just sort of, doing things and making them part of your routine and this showing externally. It's also like doing inner healing work and being in touch with your own emotions, and maybe this making you a more balanced person. Maybe you have been through a period of being emotionally drained due to these other things, these other influences that you felt you had to focus on, and perhaps this is you coming more into alignment with your own emotions. So not only focusing on yourself in terms of like routine, skincare, fitness, or things like that, but also your emotional health and your safety, the things that make you feel emotionally safe and grounded. It's all that as well. It's your emotions coming back into balance, maybe after a period of them feeling out of balance. Maybe you have dealt in the not so distant past with mental health issues, with anxiety, with depression, or just due to the circumstance that you might have been placed in, this thing that was taking a lot of your energy that you were focusing on. It could have felt like it just emotionally drained you. So people, I think, are noticing that you are coming more into balance with your emotions, that you are seeming happier, that you are seeming more yourself, because maybe you went through a period of time of like having lost yourself due to whatever was taking up all of your focus and attention. So it could be in relation to that as well, just with the water coming through on the cards. That's just kind of what it's making me think of. By the way, all the stuff I just said about having a glass of water, don't worry, I do have a glass of water next to me and I have been sipping from it, so please don't tell me off, because I know I'm telling you off, pal one, and I know I'm telling you like keep drinking your water, so just know that I am too, but obviously I cut that out during editing. So I'm right there with you, drinking my water and trying to stay hydrated. I know it is hard sometimes, especially when you're working. Like, that could even be the case for you, like if you're at a busy job. I know what it's like sometimes you just kind of forget, like you don't have time to go and get your water, go and fill your cup up, metaphorically and literally. So I know what that's like, but it feels like this is something that you have really been focusing on, and I think it's paying off. I think people are really starting to notice this about you, and notice the impact it is having on your skin, on your overall health, on the glow that you have both externally and internally. Also, I really don't know why, but I'm getting that I can't remember what it's called. I think it's from Chun-Li, the Nicki Minaj song, where she says something like, go get your haterade, get your thirst quenched, or something like that. So this could be that you might have had certain people in your life where, like, when you went through this difficult period, let's say, and you were focusing on this thing that was perhaps feeling more negative towards you and your personal growth and your self-esteem, it's like you might have had people in your life who were kind of like thriving on that chaos. Like, they wanted in on the gossip, they wanted to know what was going on in your life. And maybe it's like now, I keep getting the phrase like you're giving them nothing, like you're giving them nothing to work with. And I'm not saying like that is you closing down and not telling like your genuine friends what's going on with you or anything like that. But I think it's in terms of people who are perhaps people who maybe don't have the best intentions. They are like thirsty for a little bit of gossip, and you're not giving it to them. They're in a drought. They can no longer absorb your energy through the painful experiences that you have had or something like that. You're not quenching their thirst for knowledge about you, because maybe you are like very much in the energy of staying in your own lane. You are just focusing on yourself. You don't want to get taken in by all the negativity that might be surrounding these people. So it's like you're just not engaging with it anymore, and you're not quenching anyone's thirst when it comes to gossip. This could be you like coming off social media for a period of time, or even if you're on social media, it could be you making your accounts private, or you just engaging less with social media generally, like you not making as much of what you do public knowledge or something like that. So you're not giving people what they want. It's like people are thirsty for you to learn more about you, and that is the tea on you, but they can't, like maybe they can't have access to you or something like that. It could also be like with you getting the call me sticker, I'm getting that maybe because of this glow up that you've been through, I think you have a lot of options. You know, if you are looking, the tea on you is that if you are looking for a potential romantic partner or something like that, or if you are just dating at the moment, like if you are single and you are interested in dating, which I'm not actually sure if you are, but if you are, it's like you could have, I think, anyone you choose. That is the tea on you at this moment in time, because people are thirsty for you, because I think you have done your internal work. It is showing externally. So not only are you glowing on the outside, you're glowing on the inside. People are really noticing this, how you are stepping up into this more confident energy, and people are thirsty for you. It's like people are begging to get a piece of you with this call me sticker. People want to know all about what's going on with you, especially if they don't have access to you. For some of you, you know, this could be an ex who wants to get back in touch. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry if you don't want that. You don't have to take it. I mean, it could be a multitude of people. It could be like, and you have broken up with somebody recently or something like that. Maybe you have a recent ex, and maybe you felt sort of heartbroken by this at the time that you and this person ended things, and it just felt as though like you were maybe pining for them back if they broke up with you initially. But now it's like the tables have turned, and this person, like, you've moved on. Like, this person, you've shut them down, you're past it, you've done your inner healing work, you are so far removed from that situation, and there's somebody who you thought would never ask for you back, it's like they're suddenly being thirsty with you, like suddenly the tables have turned or something like that. And maybe it's not just this person, maybe you are suddenly noticing that there are people crawling out of the woodworks. I don't know why I wanted to use that phrase, but they're like crawling out of the woodworks to want to talk to you, take you on dates, spend time with you. But the thing is, like, I'm not sure if that's something you actually want, because I think you are so much in this energy of focusing on yourself that maybe that just isn't a priority for you. And I think it is this feeling feeling of like you not needing anyone and you being independent that is making so many people, you know, gravitate towards you and want to spend time and money and resources on you and things like that. So obviously if it's not romantic, like if you're in a happy relationship and it's not romantic, just take that in the way it resonates in terms of like friendships, just people wanting to get closer to you generally, because I feel like that is a very significant theme. Like people are thirsty for your time and attention, but you are very much focused on keeping yourself hydrated. That is what I'm getting for you for the oracle portion of your reading, Pile 1. We are just going to move on to the tarot, so please bear with me and we'll have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Hi Pile 1 Collective, welcome to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay Pile 1, so we have the Weird Cat Tarot, we have the Three of Wands, we have the Ace of Swords reversed, we have the World reversed, we have the King of Pentacles reversed. Interesting, a few reversals so far, Pile 1. We have the High Priestess, we have the Eight of Pentacles, we have the King of Wands, and we have the Three of Cups reversed. Okay, Pile 1. So, you know, we said in the oracle portion of the reading that people are thirsty for you, your time, your energy, particularly when it comes to your romantic options, if that is something you are interested in. Even if you are focusing on yourself right now, it might just give you like a bit of a confidence boost to know that there are so many people who are almost like putting you on a pedestal. I feel particularly because it is all about this Eight of Pentacles energy. So because of, like, funnily enough, I think maybe because you have been through this difficult situation recently, and we will talk a little bit about that very soon. I will go on to what I think that could potentially be for some of you. Obviously, it is going to be a different situation for different people, but I will try and get like as specific as I can and give a few examples. So we will talk about that. But like what I was going to say is like, funnily enough, I think, you know, when you started focusing on yourself, that would have been the time where you said to yourself, you know, I'm not focused on romance, I'm not focused on dating, I am focused on me, my own growth, my personal development. Funnily enough, that's when all these options started coming in. It's like people, you, I think, radiated this sense of being high quality or something like that when you started putting yourself first, filling up your own cup, hydrating yourself, when you started focusing on your own needs. It's just like you radiate this sense of, you know, not needing anyone, being quite independent, especially with this King of Wands. It's like you're in your bold energy, and this is something that other people are noticing though. They are therefore putting you on this pedestal, and it's making you in high demand because people see you as high value. And I don't like those kinds of phrases in terms of like being a high value woman or something like that. I don't mean it in a sort of misogynistic Andrew Tate type way. I just mean it in terms of like you, by looking after yourself, are showing other people that you know the ways you deserve to be treated because you are treating yourself that way. So it just gives this message out to other people that they can't then come in and treat you like rubbish. They know that they have to bring something to the table. They have to serve you with something good in order for you to, you know, even give them a chance. Like, and I don't even mean just with dating. I mean like in a friendship capacity, in terms of the jobs you go for. Somebody has to bring something for the table because they know the way you are looking after yourself, the way you are shining and glowing. It's like they know that they would have to give you something good in return. They know that you have high standards because you are setting the standard. Like, you adhere to those high standards yourself and you expect them from the people that you surround yourself with. And it's so interesting as well that on this particular Eight of Pentacles card, it is the cat with the watering can. So it's like you are watering your own garden. And I think that's just a kind of metaphor for the ways that you are really looking after yourself. So the tea on you is that that is something that a lot of people are talking about, the ways that you are really taking care of your own garden, like nourishing your garden garden, watering your garden, the crops are growing, you are bringing things into fruition, because you are putting a lot of work and effort into that, and it's something that other people are noticing. And it's a reason why you might suddenly feel in the not so distant future, if this isn't happening currently, you might feel as if you are suddenly in very high demand. Like suddenly people want to talk to you, suddenly people are reaching out to you, maybe certain people who you haven't spoke to in a long time. For some of you, I'm sorry, this could be like an ex, doesn't have to be, but it could be that people are just popping up left, right, and center in your DMs if you are on social media or anything like that, and it feels as though they're popping up out of the blue. It's like you're suddenly in such high demand because you have watered your own garden and your garden is flourishing essentially, and this is something that people are noticing. So the tea on you, pal one, is, in the oracle reading when we were talking a little bit about a situation that was maybe taking up a lot of your focus, taking up a lot of your mental energy, maybe a situation that made you feel as though you couldn't really look ahead to anything else. Maybe your mindset was kind of sort of stuck with this situation. It was just taking up a lot of time in your day. You were investing a lot in it, and I feel like you weren't getting very much in return. Now, this situation for a few of you, this could refer to a literal relationship ending, like a romantic relationship, and potentially you not getting the closure that you deserved in this situation. Because with this world card, that can talk about a lack of closure. It can talk about you not feeling fulfilled, not getting the answers that you needed, maybe feeling quite confused by this whole situation with the Ace of Swords in reverse as well. This could have been a situation where there was a lot of miscommunication, there could have been disputes and arguments, but it's like you were left feeling kind of, I don't know where to go from here. Like, I don't know why this has happened. Maybe you weren't entirely sure why this situation had come to an end. You didn't have the full picture on that. You couldn't get enough clarity. And maybe with this world in reverse, like you yourself felt incomplete. It's like you couldn't see the bigger picture. You couldn't step into this Three of Wands energy at that point. It's like you didn't have the foresight to think about anything else. This situation could have taken up all the space in your brain. It could have just really infiltrated your life. And I feel like there is this sense of like maybe at the time, and in particular, if this is like a relationship ending, it doesn't have to be, it could like be a job or a friendship. Take it whichever way it applies to your situation, but I'm talking about the general feelings that you might have experienced here. So in particular, let's just give the example of this being a romantic relationship. Maybe you weren't together like officially with this person for too long, because I'm getting this sense that something felt incomplete in the way that you felt as though there was more to give to this situation, and it almost ended abruptly, and it left you feeling like you didn't really know how things got from A to B. You didn't know what had happened, like what caused it to end like this. You didn't really understand it, and it left you feeling as though you had to seek closure, like you had to get to the bottom of why this situation happened the way it did. So maybe this could have led to you trying to find answers through sources such as social media, like looking at this person's social media to try and find out why things ended so abruptly, looking for signs of them, like, potentially speaking to other people or something like that, like looking through their friends list or something to see if they had like added anyone new. It just took up a lot of space in your brain, and that wasn't you. That wasn't being in alignment with who you truly are. Like, that would normally never be you. You would never be the kind of person to do that. But this situation just seemed to have you so in your feelings and feeling quite empty about what happened, feeling as though there was just no closure. There was just a lot of confusion surrounding this situation, and for some of you, this could have been some kind of third party situation, and something that could have even been the source of gossip for a period of time, perhaps in your friendship circle. And I feel as though this whole thing left you experiencing that feeling of isolation. I feel like you had to sort of go into yourself for a period of time. You had to re-find yourself because the way you were acting in this situation, the way it was stealing your focus from really giving that nourishment and attention to yourself. And again, like, you don't have to take this being a romantic situation as like literally, just use that as a placeholder for whatever situation this was. But I'm getting that for a lot of you, the intensity of the feelings, it will pertain to a romantic relationship. But yeah, just put job or friendship in, or family member even, in the place of romantic relationship if that does not apply. But yeah, I get the sense that this was something that caused a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, and a lot of you really not knowing who you were anymore. It's like you lost yourself in this situation, you lost yourself in this experience, and it left you feeling as though, you know, you couldn't really look ahead, you couldn't really move on from it. You were stuck trying to find answers to what had happened, but it was never your responsibility to have to get those answers, because I think this situation ending had a lot more to do with other factors. And for some of you, you know, this could have been you were dealing with an unhealed person who introduced a third party to this situation. Maybe, you know, people within your friendship circle might have known about this. Maybe, you know, you were spending a lot of time talking about this with friends or something like that. And maybe not everyone in that group had your best interests at heart. Maybe this talking about it was just leading you to sort of wallow in this situation longer than what was necessary. That doesn't have to be the case. Like, obviously, everyone heals and learns and grows at their own pace, and sometimes you just need to vent your frustrations, really feel your feelings, and sometimes you need to talk about that with friends, and that is okay. But there might have been some people in your friendship circle, not everyone, but some people who you surrounded yourself with, where it just felt as though they were trying to get you to talk about it and to indulge in this scandal, in this gossip, and ultimately some of it just wasn't helping you. It's like maybe you got to a place where you wanted to move on from it, and it felt as though these people were kind of holding you back. And maybe, you know, tensions got high if you had like nights out with this group of people, or if like the person who had done you wrong in some way was part of that friendship circle, like if this was an ex-romantic partner but they were still kind of like part of that circle or something, they were still around, like even if they weren't out at like the same time that you were out. It's like the more that you heard about, you know, what was going on with them, the more that other people tried to get you to talk about them, to try and elicit that sort of conversation from you. It's like it just got you more and more down. But I also feel as though for some of you, this, you know, if this was a breakup or something like that, if you went out after the breakup, it could be that you did things to excess, but it always left you feeling sort of empty, particularly the next day. And, you know, obviously, like, we all do what we need to do to get over hard situations in our life. And I would never judge anyone for the way they choose to process their emotions. And, you know, sometimes all you need after a breakup, let's say, is to go out and to have a good time and to drink and to have fun with your friends. And that is more than okay. Sometimes people can take it to extremes, and you know, that can be part of the process as well. Like, sometimes you take it to extremes and you learn your lesson. Maybe the next day you say, well, I'm not going to have that much to drink, or I'm not going to do XYZ, I'm not going to take things to excess. However, it felt as though there were certain times where maybe you were in this cycle of going out, taking things to excess in terms of alcohol or drugs or something like that. It doesn't have to be the case. If you don't identify as like somebody who would drink alcohol or take drugs, like, you don't have to take that. But it's just you were engaging in an activity that felt as though in the long run it wasn't really helping you, it was harming you. And I think you noticed this after a while, but maybe it took a few times for you to really experience, you know, the effect that putting yourself in that situation was having on you, and it took you a while to step back from it. So it's like you went through a period of time of doing things to excess, and maybe like the next day you would wake up and regret some of the things that you did. You would think like, yeah, you know, like, I just don't feel good, like, and I am sick of waking up feeling this way, taking things to excess. So it's like now you could still go out, have a good time, you could still drink, you could still do the things that you want to do, but maybe you have learned to take control of your life more by setting boundaries for yourself. So you go out and have a good time, but instead of, you know, staying out till 5 a.m. and being really drunk. Maybe you say to yourself, well, I'll have a few drinks and then I'll have a good time with my friends and I'll go home, I'll be in bed by 1 a.m. or something like that. It doesn't have to be the case. And you know, if you are somebody who is still going out and having your fun and you do want to stay out till 5 a.m., there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I'm more talking about people who, you know, it's not making them feel good to do those things. So they're just taking a step back, reassessing and thinking, you know, do I really want to be doing this every weekend or every night or something like that? And if the answer is no, this is you, you know, getting into that energy. And, you know, it could be part of this regime, this new regime that you are implementing that is making you feel good and confident and healthy. And it is allowing you to step into your best self. It could be all to do with that. The fact you have managed to set these boundaries in place and stick to them. For some of you, this feeling of you taking things to excess could have just been a response to the person who you were in a relationship with. If you felt restricted by them in some way, because with this King of Pentacles, this could indicate that, you know, you might have been with somebody who was quite possessive and they could have been a little bit like, oh, rules for me, but not for thee kind of thing. So what I mean by that is, you know, this could have been a person who didn't allow you to have friends of your preferred sex or something like that. So maybe they made you sort of cut off friends, or they encouraged you to, but it would be a different rule for them. So if you called them out on like a similar behavior, if you said, oh, well, I'm not allowed to have this friend, but you're talking to this person and you're sending them inappropriate messages or something like that, it could have been that this person always argued with you about that, or they tried to flip it back on you, or they tried to accuse you of being jealous or paranoid and possessive. And maybe this, at a certain period of your life, it got you down, it got you feeling like, well, am I those things? Like, I don't think I am. But maybe I think you were very confused by this whole situation. I think, you know, this person could have been a pro gaslighter, like they could have been a pro manipulator. They could have literally tried to change your reality in some way. And all the behaviors that they were accusing you of, it's things that they would actually do themselves. It's like they were projecting onto you. So this doesn't have to be romantic again, like it could just be a friendship, but it's like all the things that they accuse you of doing, the negative behaviors, they might have made you feel bad for certain things, but it's all things that they were doing themselves and worse. So it's like you could be having a conversation, let's say in your DMs with a friend, and maybe it was like totally platonic, just like, hi, how are you? Like, how was work? Oh, what have you been up to? Totally platonic, something like that. And this would be the kind of person who they would find that conversation and really go mad at you about it, act like you were saying something inappropriate, act like you'd done the worst thing in the world. But at the same time, they'd be in every person's DMs, like complimenting their pictures in an inappropriate, sexually explicit way or something like that. But they would always find a way to turn this back on you. And I just think it led to a lot of disagreements, and it led to just you feeling generally confused and you really doubting your own self. But honestly, it was all just projection from this person. This could have also been a person who was a bit of a financial leech. Maybe this was somebody who was quite greedy, and maybe this was somebody who enjoyed using your resources, maybe financially, without doing much in return. But it also feels as though like I'm getting like, and I know this won't apply to everyone, and I like to, you know, kind of not mention gender too much when I do these readings. It's just giving me this real vibe of like a toxic alpha male. So, you know, that kind of person who is like, oh, I'm the head of the household. If you're a woman, let's say, and this person is a man, and they're like, this toxic alpha male, they're like, I'm the head of the household, you can't do XYZ, you need to do this, like you need to do all the cleaning, you need to do this around the house, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, if you've seen, you know, people who have those views, I find it like interesting. I'll just say I find it interesting. But yeah, I'm not getting into that topic today, but you know what I mean. But it's like those people who say, like, you know, women should have this role and the man is the head of the house and they make the decisions and blah blah blah. But meanwhile, they are like not the breadwinner. Like, they are saying these things, but they are not bringing anything to the table. And in fact, they are imposing a strict set of rules on you because you are a woman, let's say. They are trying to be like, oh, women should listen to the man and the man makes the ultimate decision. But they are not abiding by even their own moral code, because by their moral code, they should be the provider. Like, they should be, you know, bringing something financially to the table if they want to, you know, be the head of the household or something like that. But they're not doing, in fact, they're doing the exact opposite. They're financially leeching on you and using all your resources while still having this very backwards mentality of like, yeah, you need to listen to me because I'm a man or something like that. I'm just getting like a very overall like sexist vibe. It's kind of giving me the ick. Like, this person could definitely be a great big ick. I know, like, I probably shouldn't talk about a person like that, but I just don't like the energy of this person. It doesn't have to be that exact scenario, but it's like whatever moral code this person kind of abided by, it's like they didn't practice what they preached in some way. But to give like that example again, it's like this person could have been quite possessive of you, and maybe it's like people, so the tea on you, I think, because you are having this, you know, huge glow up, or at least that is the energy that you are going to be stepping into. I think people are really noticing how much you have come into your own, because I think with this high priestess, you are somebody who is now listening to your inner voice a lot more. And maybe when you were in this situation prior to this situation that you really struggled with, I think you had lost that sense of self, and you've always had it in you. I think you've always been such a strong person. You've always had such a strong inner voice to rely on, but it's maybe like this person manipulated the situation, so you felt as though you could no longer rely on your inner voice. Like, they manipulated your reality to some capacity. And I think people are really starting to notice and talk about the fact that you have really come into your own again. And this could even be something as simple as you like wearing what you want. You know, if this person tried to take control of you in the fact that like they wouldn't let you go out in certain clothes or something like that. And I'm really getting the Janae song Speak. I can't remember all of the lyrics, but there is something in that song where if you haven't listened to that song, like, please go and listen to it. You might resonate if this was a relationship. So yeah, just go and listen to that if you haven't done. But yeah, it's something about this person trying to control what you wear, what you look like, maybe making you feel as if you didn't look good or you were undesirable, when that was not the truth at all. And if it wasn't that, it was just you, this person assuming that you were trying to get other people's attention and then being worried that, you know, somebody would find you desirable. And I think them being worried that somebody would steal you from them and somebody would make you realize that you are deserving of way more than them. I think that's the thing that they were always frightened of. So instead they just tried to control you, and they didn't really like you going out of the house looking nice. Maybe they accused you of being thirsty. Meanwhile, I think they were the thirsty ones. Like we said, they were in all sorts of people's DMs trying to get people's attention, and I think this person just really ended up bringing you down in the end. It could have been like you always felt paranoid about what this person was up to, who they were talking to, and that is not you ultimately. Like, you are not somebody who ever needs to worry about if somebody else is deciding to sabotage what they have with you. Like, ultimately, you know that you are way, way better than that, and that is not something that you ever needed to pay attention to. And I think now it's like you are looking back on this situation, and I think you are realizing that, like, you know that. I think you're almost like sad for that person who you were when you were in that situation. Let's say this was a year ago. It doesn't have to be. It could have been more recent than that. Or it could have been, you know, a bit longer ago than that, whichever. But let's say this situation was a year ago. It's like, I'm getting this phrase, like, I'm sad for that person who I was a year ago because he, she, or they didn't realize all that they had to offer. But now it's like you are realizing it, and people are really noticing that about you. And instead of, you know, the gossip, the tea surrounding you being about, you know, how sorry people feel for you, like, because if friends of yours were, you know, worried about you, and I'm talking about the genuine friends now, like, if they were worried about you during this time, they were worried that, you know, this relationship or this other situation, whatever that may be, was taking such a lot out of you, and, you know, you just weren't your usual self. If they were talking about the fact that they just wished you'd get out of it, let's say. And I think there is this maybe other group of people surrounding this, or a couple of people who sort of thrived on the drama. They lived for the drama. Maybe they liked to see you getting upset or angry about the injustice of this situation. But for your genuine friends, it's like they at one point were talking about how worried they were between themselves, and they just wished they could get through to you and get you out of this situation or something like that. And it's like now they can see how much you have come on leaps and bounds in terms of your healing and personal development. They can see how much you've grown, how much you have managed to pull yourself out of this, and really show up as a leader in your own life with this King of Wands, and how you are not accepting less, you are not settling for what you deserve as well with this Eight of Pentacles, and you are learning that you can really rely on your own intuition. And whether or not this person made you doubt it at some point, it's like you're no longer doubting it, and you are actually looking ahead confidently, and you are just not focusing on ever getting this person's attention back. I think they were probably thirsty for you, like they are focusing on maybe trying to get your attention back. I don't think they ever expected you to sort of come out of your shell like this and regain all this confidence, or maybe get your confidence for the first time, you know, if that was something you struggled with historically. I don't think this person expected that. So now, generally, pal one, the tea is that you are doing so much better. The tea is that you are glowing, you are looking radiant, you are setting the standards for yourself, you are asserting your boundaries, you are learning how to live in your leader energy and go after the things that you really want in life. And some people love that for you and some people don't, but you know, either way, you are going to love the people that love you back, but those other people, you don't even need to think about them. That is something that you are very much realizing, Power One, and that is the current tea on you. I think we are just going to finish this reading by looking at the astro dice, by rolling the astro dice, just to get a little bit of further confirmation regarding the areas of your life where this theme might be most prevalent. So please bear with me and we'll do that now. Pile one. Okay, pile one, so we have Saturn there, we have the fourth house, and we have Capricorn. So interestingly, we have both Saturn and Capricorn. So I definitely think this makes sense for your reading, pile one, because Saturn always makes me think of restrictions imposed on us. And it's like this situation, whatever it was that you felt trapped by, that you felt restricted by, this situation has ended. And maybe at the time this ended, that felt incredibly painful for you. Maybe that was something that was a source of concern. At the time, you thought, you know, I never wanted this to end. Like, I will never get over this. I will never get closure on this situation. But it's like this is you learning to accept that you can make your own closure in this situation and you can overcome anything. Like, I think this has made you really develop in terms of your self-confidence and realizing that you can really get over anything. Like, if you have dealt with this one situation, you can deal with any situation that comes your way. And although Saturn can push us, and it can feel as though Saturn is there to hurt us in the moment when we are going through this situation, Saturn is like the archetype of the father who sets high standards for us, but ultimately is pushing us to be our best self, to ultimately overcome these obstacles and really be who we are truly meant to be. And I really feel that with you, Pal One, because I feel like you are dedicating a lot of time and a lot of energy into yourself. And, you know, Saturn can talk a lot about discipline, about being responsible. Like with this Capricorn showing up, Capricorns, you know, can be reserved and cautious, but also honorable, also pragmatic. They are also able to step up and climb that mountain, to dedicate themselves to something consistently, to work towards a goal. So this could be that the tea on you is that your reputation in some way is transforming for the better, because people are now viewing you as, you know, somebody who can work towards a goal consistently. And maybe it feels as though you aren't wearing your heart on your sleeve as much as what you maybe have in the past, you know, when it came to this situation and people potentially sort of leeching off this emotionally draining situation that wasn't really helping you. It feels as though you are preserving yourself. It feels as though you are working on your self-preservation, and it's not you suppressing your emotions, but it's you expressing your emotions when they need to be expressed, but you ultimately accepting that you have bigger and better things to move towards. You have goals that you want to achieve, and people are focusing more on your reputation in terms of how it has changed to be more focused on these goals rather than this situation that was getting you down. It's like something within your reputation has transformed, and people are focusing on the things that you are doing, perhaps in career, because Saturn and Capricorn, it's associated with the 10th house. But this could be to do with you focusing more on looking ahead with this Three of Wands, on your life purpose, on the things you really want to do with your life, and realizing that, this situation that you felt restricted by, it's a lesson learned, but ultimately you have learned that lesson and you don't need to spend time wallowing in that situation. Like, you have done your wallowing, you have done that hard work, and you have overcome it, and now you are moving on to bigger and better things. So Capricorn or Cancer energy could be significant to you in some way with this fourth house showing up, particularly with the fourth house. This can often refer to home and family. So it could be that at one stage the tea on you was to do with your home or family situation changing. So this could be in terms of like you lived with a person, and then if you broke up, maybe your home situation changed, and maybe this was what felt so difficult at a certain period in your life. However, I like to think of it as that the tea on you is that you are finding yourself again, and you are giving yourself your own safe space. Like, you have found home within yourself again. This is like you returning to who you truly are at a soul level, because maybe it felt as though due to this situation, a part of you had been lost. Like, you felt confused about who you were or something like that. So this is you coming out of, that feeling of restriction and returning home to yourself, which is just such a beautiful energy to kind of end this reading on. So that is what I'm getting for you, Pal One. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did like the reading, please like the video, please comment, and if at all possible, please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so, so much. Thank you, Pal One, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi Pal 2 Collective, welcome to your reading. If you chose Pal 2 and you chose the Plastics Oracle and Mean Girl Tarot, and you also chose this ice cream sticker, this will be your reading. If you would like further details regarding what this reading will entail, then please check out the pinned comment or my description box below, or you can have a listen to the introduction. This reading is what is the tea on you? What are you serving them? So this is all about the current tea on you and the energy you are going to be stepping into. We could also touch on, things other people are saying about you, just general tea and gossip surrounding you, and what your spirit guides would like you to know if you identify with having spirit guides. So as usual, we are going to start off by looking at one oracle card. There is an oracle card already chosen for you. It is the purple card that you can see peeking out at the bottom of this tarot deck. So we are going to have a look at that in the first portion of the reading. Then in the second portion of the reading, we are going to be looking at these tarot cards that we have selected for you. So as usual, first portion of the reading is the oracle reading, second portion is the tarot card reading, and we are going to finish off the tarot card reading by looking at the astro dice. So we will have a look at the oracle card we pulled for you momentarily. I do just want to take this opportunity to kindly ask that you please like the video, please comment, and please subscribe if you like this style of content, and if you would like to see me doing more readings going forward. That would all mean the absolute world to me, and I would just appreciate it so, so much. Thank you for being here, thank you for listening, and let's get started with your reading, Pal 2. So I am just going to put the tarot cards to one side for now while we focus on the oracle card. So the oracle card that we have pulled for you is number 15, Connect with Your Womb. So as I do throughout all my readings, I do like to mention the number on the card. So obviously on this card, we have card number 15. I don't imagine that most of you are 15 in terms of your age. However, this could have still been a significant age for you to some capacity. Something could have happened when you were 15 in relation to this reading, in relation to the things that we are going to discuss today. It could just be a significant number. It could also be a synchronicity that you are seeing a lot of. If you are seeing a lot of the number 1 or 5 or 1515 or something like that, this could just be confirmation that this is your reading. It doesn't have to be the case. It is just something that I want wanted to mention and that I do try and mention at the start of each reading. So, the first message that I'm getting for you, actually, pal, too, is that you could be in the process of receiving a life changing diagnosis. And I want to say that it could be something to do with the womb or your reproductive health in general, or something like that. This certainly doesn't have to be the case, it doesn't have to be that specific, but with this card being specifically connect with your womb, it could be that something has been causing you issues potentially since you were 15 years old. Perhaps if this is around a time when your period started, if you were a female or something like that, or you have just been getting certain symptoms, having certain difficulties since the time that you were 15 years old. This could be you accessing a diagnosis that really feels as though it helps you understand yourself and your body better and helps you come to terms with your reproductive health. So this could be something like finally being diagnosed with endometriosis or polycystic ovary syndrome, or even like if you experience bad PMS, if you are a person who has periods, if you get bad PMS, this could even be like PMDD. It could be something that affects your moods to do with your cycle, and learning about this, even like if you aren't getting a diagnosis, like if that is not something you are seeking, and obviously, I am not a medical professional, so I can't diagnose you, but I just know that even myself and a lot of women in my life have dealt with these kinds of issues, and sometimes it does take a long time, particularly, not to shit on the NHS. Like the NHS, having the NHS as a service is amazing. I've worked for the NHS myself in the past, so I'm not shitting on that in any way. Obviously, the lack of resources, it does have an impact on patients in terms of waiting lists, in terms of the quality of the service you receive. Sometimes it doesn't always feel as though it's been very thorough. I think particularly if you are a woman, it sometimes feels as though your issues can be undermined. If you go to the doctors and your visit is about like severe period pain or something like that. This is actually interesting because I remember going to the doctors when I was a teenager for severe period pain, and rather than exploring the underlying issue, it was like, okay, well, we'll give you the pill, like you can go on the pill. And that's fine. Like I'm not demonizing the pill in any way. The pill is an amazing invention. It is giving women a lot of freedom. In some cases, it has been life-saving for some women who deal with really, really bad periods. But I think when you're a teenager and you don't really know what you are taking, like you are just given a medication and you don't really know enough about the side effects or whether you can make an informed decision, it does feel as though, to me at least, like it would have been more beneficial, I think, to my mental health if I had more information regarding the pill and what that meant, and what that would do, and potential side effects, because I think sometimes you just take these things, it might fix one problem but it might make another problem worse. So I think just being able to have all of the information, so I think having access to all the information at our disposal will be more beneficial to people who are considering taking like any medication, I guess. But I know it's a really common experience of girls who are a similar age to me, and probably younger and probably older women as well, girls who were a similar age to me when they were put on the pill. It's like they had this experience of just being put on the pill and they didn't really know much about it, and neither did I. So it would have been more beneficial to have more information, to know fully, like to make an informed decision. I think that is the main thing. And again, that's not to demonize the contraceptive pill. I think there is a lot of misinformation out there, and it can go either way, but people have different experiences, and what works for one person, what will be beneficial to one person, will be detrimental to another. So I think it's just all about having access to all the information and making an informed decision, and being able to monitor any symptoms if you are like taking a new medication or something like that. I believe there is a country where, like, when you go on the contraceptive pill, like if it's a hormonal pill of any kind that could affect your mental health, your emotions, I think there is a country, it's probably some really progressive country, that's a lot more progressive than the NHS anyway. I can't remember which one, so I just kind of feel like I'm waffling here. But it is somewhere where they monitor your mental health more. And I just feel as though like having access to something like that could have saved women or people with periods from a lot of hardship, because I think some of us just kind of took these things, and yes, it might have fixed one problem in relation to like heavy periods or painful periods, but it could have made our mental health worse or something like that, especially if some of you were dealing with other undiagnosed mental health issues or other issues that would have affected that kind of thing, like undiagnosed ADHD, if you were dealing with that alongside PMDD, because I know it's a common comorbidity that people often have, like ADHD and PMDD at the time, and it is also very common for women to not be diagnosed correctly with these things. So basically what I'm trying to say in a really long-winded, waffly way is this could be you finding out more information about yourself and learning what really works for your body, and it doesn't have to be regarding your reproduction or anything like that, but it could just be like you discovering more about yourself, what works for your body, what works for your mind, your mental health, and really leaning into that and feeling like you have more control over your life, because whatever this was, it might have felt as though you were out of control with your body and the things you were experiencing, particularly, you know, if this is to do with the endocrine system, if it is to do with hormones, if it is to do with your emotions, your mental health, or anything like that. It felt as though, you know, you were maybe out of control with your body. So this feels as though the tea on you is that you are stepping into an energy of really feeling more in alignment with you and the things going on in your body and feeling a bit more in control. And this in turn is giving you like more agency. You feel more powerful because you are finally having access to the things that you actually need, and maybe you are no longer being misdiagnosed or being dismissed or having your feelings, your experiences of what's going on in your body undermined or something like that. It could have felt like you were quite trapped by whatever it was that was going on with your body. And particularly, you know, I don't want to go off like on a big rant about this, but I know particularly when it comes to periods, again, this is really undermined, and I feel like it's because there is such a variety in terms of the way that people experience periods. So I have friends who, you know, they have a super light period for like 3 days and they experience little to no pain, and they get up and they do their job and it's like they barely notice that they have a period. And I am also friends with people who experience things on the opposite end of the spectrum, and their period is super heavy. It lasts for days and days and days. They feel bedbound, or they struggle with endometriosis. They struggle with severe pain. And I feel like when people don't talk about these things, it leads to a misunderstanding, particularly from those who don't experience periods and who never will, because they just simply don't know what it's like. If they are not in a body who experiences that kind of thing, they cannot know what it's like. And then this can sometimes lead to undermining of people's pain. Like, I remember when I was in high school, I remember vividly like a girl in my year saying that she was experiencing painful periods. I don't know whether she actually was or not. To be fair, she probably was just trying to get out of PE. But that's not the point. That is not the point. This girl expressed to the male PE teacher that she was having incredibly painful periods. Can she please sit out of PE that day? And I remember this male PE teacher absolutely humiliating her or trying to in front of everyone. I mean, I think this girl wasn't that bothered because I think she was quite confident, but the male PE teacher was screaming in this girl's face, telling her that periods are not an excuse, you still have to do PE, blah blah blah. And listen, like, I understand kids try and get out of lessons all the time. I don't know how many times like I forged a note saying that I couldn't do PE. I did that so many times in school because I was never, and listen, like, I don't want to go off on a tangent here and I feel like I'm going off on one. I love exercise, but I don't like competitive sports, and in high school it felt like very competitive, and if you weren't one of the sporty girls you would kind of be bullied, so I was never really good at doing those competitive things, but when we got to do PE, which was just using like the gym equipment, which was few and far between, we usually only did that for a few weeks of a term, I loved doing that. I just didn't like the competitive side of it, so I always forged a note saying that I couldn't do it for blah blah blah, and like signed it from my parents, and I got out of it quite a lot. So yeah, I do understand that kids try to get out of lessons, but the way he spoke to this girl, I will always remember it. And this happened when we were about 14 or something like that. And just the way like he humiliated her, screaming in her face about how it's not an excuse in front of all the boys, when ultimately, like, I think she'd gone to him and she'd said it quietly, like maybe just in front of a couple of other girls, and she wasn't being like rude to him or anything. She might have just been trying to get out of the lesson, but nevertheless, I don't think it was an excuse to scream in her face. I always found it weird when teachers did that. Like, I just found it bizarre. Like, why do you need to scream in someone's face who is just talking to you? I always found that odd. But regardless of that, it's like he was really undermining the experience of anyone listening to that conversation whose periods debilitated them. And I remember, like, I would never say anything at the time. I was really quiet. I was really introverted. I would never have said anything. But I was thinking, like, but you don't know that. I was thinking it was such an injustice because you will never have a period. You are not in a body that experiences periods, so you don't know whether it's an excuse or not. I remember feeling like it was such an injustice, and I feel like that's something that I've like carried with me, and particularly when I notice people who don't experience periods undermining things that people who do experience periods go through. It makes me so angry, and in particular, like, I know it can happen with pregnancy as well. People making out like pregnancy is just no big deal and everyone does it and blah blah blah. Like, it is just so infuriating, especially when you hear it from people who will never have to go through that. Yeah, so I know I got off on a bit of a tangent there, but I just want to say to you, pal, too, if you have ever dealt with anything like that, struggles in terms of, you know, painful periods, coming to terms with chronic pain to do with your cycle, just know that I feel that, I understand that, I've been through that as well, so I completely get it. However, this could also be to do with fertility or something like that. Again, doesn't have to be, but this card is obviously just making me think of reproduction. So it could be that some of you are pregnant or some of you are hoping to get pregnant and you are feeling more connected with your cycle, maybe working out when your ovulation is. Maybe some of you aren't necessarily doing this for the purposes of pregnancy. Maybe some of you, if you like have been on the pill or something like that, or another form of hormonal contraceptive for a period of time, and you are now having like a natural cycle, let's say, it could be that you are really getting in touch with your cycle and learning when at certain points of the month that things might be easier for you. So like learning that, you know, when you're ovulating, you might feel more confident, you might feel more able to produce art or go out and socialize. You might feel sort of in the spring or summer of your life during that phase. And then maybe it's you coming to terms with the fact that, you know, when you're PMSing, you just might not be able to do as much as what you're used to, whether, you know, that comes to physical exercise, or you might not be able to put as much pressure on yourself in terms of a job or some kind of work that you are carrying out in your own time. Whatever it may be, it could be you sort of really being in touch with your cycle and how you have ebbs and flows throughout your cycle, and how at one stage in your cycle you might be more productive than at other stages, and that is more than okay. If you are somebody who is capable of getting pregnant and you have sex with somebody who is capable of getting you pregnant and you don't want to be pregnant, this could be a time to be very careful. Not to panic you or anything like that, but it could just be indicating that, you know, there is a lot to do with reproduction here. For some of you, you could be pregnant, you could be in the early stages of pregnancy and really coming to terms with that. If this is something that you want, it could be you, you know, stepping into this new phase of your life. So there could be some tea on that. You know, if you haven't told people yet that you are pregnant and you are, like if you know you are, there could be some speculation as to whether you are pregnant at the moment. Again, it doesn't have to be the case, but for a very small minority of you, it might be. If you are on a journey of hoping to get pregnant in the not so distant future, it could be that this is something that you are talking about with other people. You are talking about your journey with that, your fertility journey, maybe your experiences. You could be talking to other people who are currently trying to get pregnant and hearing about their experiences, or maybe hearing about things that helped them on their fertility journey or something like that. So this could be something that is discussed in your friendship circles. And I do realize that anyone can have a womb. You can be whatever gender identity you are, and you can have a womb. However, for the most part, I think this pile in particular is likely to resonate with feminines. It doesn't have to be the case, but just talking about that, this could indicate that you are really getting in touch with your divine feminine nature or something like that. Maybe this is you really feeling more comfortable with your body. If you have dealt with body image issues in the past or anything like that, this could really be you leaning into that feminine side of yourself and overcoming some of these issues that you have faced in the past. This could also be you learning to experience pleasure. Now, this doesn't have to be in a sexual way. For some of you, it could be if you in the past have had a difficult relationship with sex, whether that be due to something like SA or assault, or whether it be due to your body image issues or your inability to open up and, show yourself, show those parts of yourself. This could be you going on a journey of healing those aspects of yourself and really learning how to engage with your own pleasure, really learning what works for you, developing a different relationship with your body, with your own pleasure, essentially. Because with this ice cream sticker showing up as well, it's like really giving me the sense of you learning to enjoy things just for the sake of enjoying them. Maybe you living in the moment more. Maybe you surrendering to pleasure and really feeling in your divine feminine element when you do so. So it could just be you, healing that relationship with sex, with your body, what that means. Perhaps if you grew up in an environment that really demonized women enjoying sex, maybe this is you, really working on those things that might have been instilled in you throughout childhood and really overcoming that, particularly if you were from a religious background that either, completely dismissed that women can have enjoyable sex or that women's pleasure should be considered in any sexual experience. Or this could be that you were outright demonized for wanting to explore any side of your sexuality, whether that be in terms of like the actual sexual identity that you are, in terms of like straight, gay, bi, pan, whatever you identify as, or just in terms of the things that you wanted to explore sexually with other people generally. It could be that, you always felt guilty for this, or you did feel guilty in the past, and maybe this is something that you are coming out of. You are learning to feel comfortable expressing your needs and also realizing that you having needs and you wanting pleasure does not make you a bad person. This could be you, surrendering by living in the moment more and feeling more in touch with your divine feminine nature when you do that. In terms of body image issues, this could be you working on overcoming an eating disorder. It doesn't have to be the case, but I believe that overall this is you, just stepping into your most confident energy and really learning how to love and nurture all parts of you, all aspects of your body. With this being, focused on the reproductive system, it does make me think of the 8th house and Scorpio energy. That doesn't have to be relevant, but if it is, this is just a little bit of extra confirmation. Anyway, we are going to move on to the tarot portion of your reading, Pal 2, so please bear with me and I'll see you in the tarot portion. Hi, Pal 2 Collective. Welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, Pile 2. We have got the 6 of Cups. We've got the 7 of Cups in reverse. We've got the 10 of Pentacles. We've got the 8 of Swords. We've got the Magician. We got the Queen of Pentacles. We got the Knight of Cups. And we got the Chariot. Okay, Pal 2. So the tea on you is that I believe you are finally starting to realize your own power, and you are finally starting to really stick up for yourself and to advocate for yourself. I feel like you have been in a situation recently, Pal 2, where you have felt with this 8 of Swords, you have felt paralyzed by something, you have felt stuck, you have felt victimized, you have felt like you didn't have any control over the situation. And I think at certain points, maybe this has led to you just adapting in the way that you have used coping mechanisms, and you have just done something that has felt familiar, as a way to self soothe, I want to say. So, particularly, if you have ever felt out of control with your own body, let's say if you have felt like you have had no control when it comes to that, it could be that you have adopted coping mechanisms in order to assert that self control, but perhaps these were more unhealthy coping mechanisms. So, if this is like literally a response to trauma or SA of some kind, this could be you either, abstaining from forming human relationships or sexual relationships with people completely, or it could be you having in the past engaged in things like hypersexuality, which neither of those are wrong. It's just that it felt maybe as though these things weren't serving you, like if it was done from a place of, just relying on those things as a crutch, as a coping mechanism. Like, let's say if you abstained from doing anything sexual due to these issues, it might be that you were kind of shutting down that part of yourself that desired to make those physical connections with people because you were worried about what could happen, because you were using this as a coping mechanism to feel as though you were staying safe. And equally, like hypersexuality, there is, nothing wrong with wanting to have sex with as many or as few people as you like, as long as you are safe, as long as everything is consensual. However, it could be that you engaged in those things and felt as though stepping away from that situation, that it wasn't really serving you, but it just felt as though it was the safest thing to do, the best way that you could have coped with whatever it was that you were dealing with, because you felt so powerless and trapped in all other aspects of your life. Equally, this could be in terms of like if you are literally dealing with like a medical diagnosis, or you are dealing with body image issues in relation to not having that diagnosis at a certain point in your life. So, for example, if you were dealing with something to do with hormones and you felt as though you had to restrict your food intake or something like that in order to maintain a certain weight, because obviously, like with the imagery on the card as well, and I'm not meaning to like underplay what you have been through. I know what it's like to struggle with body image issues and things like that. So that's not my intention, but just to lighten the mood a little bit, if I can, with the imagery on this Mean Girls deck, and obviously this imagery of Regina. It's like that scene where she's like, oh, sweatpants are all that fits me right now. So it just reminds me of that scene, and maybe you... Oh, my dog's here. Hi. Hi, sweetie. Hello, sweetie. It just feels as though you were trying to maintain a semblance of control over something that you felt like you were lacking control in, and you might have used these unhealthy coping mechanisms with the Six of Cups because they felt familiar, they felt like something you could depend on. But I think with this Seven of Cups, it's indicating that you have gone through a period of being in like disarray because maybe you've been unwilling to rely on these previous sort of maladaptive coping mechanisms, because maybe you are really focusing on your own healing. Because the thing is with the Six of Cups as well, this can also symbolize pleasure. It can also symbolize you taking the time out to really experience your own enjoyment, your own pleasure when it comes to life. So this could be in terms of sexual pleasure, focusing on things like that, and really, understanding your own body, your own needs in that sense. But equally, it could be you learning how to indulge in other things that bring you pleasure, where it doesn't feel as though you are relying so much on these coping mechanisms, but you are just creating more balance within your life. You are doing things in moderation, but you are not restricting in any way. And I think this is something... You could be like a very all or nothing person. I really get that with this pile. It could be that your way of maintaining control is by being extremely all or nothing. So maybe like you are the kind of person where if you say like you are going on a health journey or you are going on a diet or something like that, you have to be all in. You have to be everything in all at once. Or if you fall off the wagon, it feels like you go in the opposite direction. It feels like it's either I only eat salad every day, or I eat everything in my pantry every day. It didn't feel as though in the past there has always been this balance, and I feel like the energy that you're stepping into is that you're really coming into balance. Like, you're learning about, where some of these coping mechanisms might have come from. You are acknowledging that and you are not blaming yourself for any of it, but ultimately you are taking accountability in your own life in terms of changing that behavior and in terms of like stepping towards something better. But you still have all the power, particularly, if this was that you felt out of control due to something very physical, like you being misdiagnosed or you not having access to the help that you need in a medical sense or something like that. It could be like, I'm getting something about, because I know the Ten of Pentacles doesn't necessarily mean this specifically, but obviously it's representing that scene where they cut the holes in Regina's top, and then she goes out and she wears the top and then everyone copies off her. It's like the tea on you is that you are setting the example and everyone is following in your footsteps. Like, everyone is copying off you. You are the icon. You are creating this legacy. The Ten of Pentacles can sometimes represent legacy. So this could be in terms of the communities that you are choosing to advocate towards, and particularly like if this is something that you are dealing with personally, if this is to do with a disability, or if you are just advocating for women to get more help when it comes to getting diagnosed with things that are affecting them in terms of reproduction, or like, endometriosis, that example that we gave. If you are advocating for things like that, and if you in particular have advocated for yourself to seek that diagnosis, to get that diagnosis, and to have access to the things that you need to have access to help you, this is maybe you setting that example, setting that standard, and allowing other people to feel free to also make those choices for themselves and follow in your footsteps in that way. It's like you are this bright, shining example. It's giving me like you are doing something and everyone wants to follow suit, everyone else wants to do it. It's giving pal 2 wore army pants and flip-flops, so then I wore army pants and flip-flops. It doesn't have to be in terms of a medical diagnosis if that situation doesn't apply to you. However, it's just something that you are doing that other people are wanting to follow suit with. So even in terms of like, if you are becoming more comfortable with your body, if you have dealt with your body image issues and you are really stepping into your own style and developing aesthetically in that way, it could be that people are literally copying your style, people are copying the way you dress, your hairstyle, your makeup. People are noticing that there is something different about the way you carry yourself, and I think it does come a lot from this inner confidence, but also the work you've done in just feeling more comfortable in your own skin if you have ever dealt with those body image issues or something like that. For a small minority of you, this Ten of Pentacles could also indicate that an inheritance of some kind is heading your way. So there might be an influx in money, an influx in your finances, and maybe if this is something that you have received already, this is the thing that has kind of helped you. It's helped you get the access to some of this help. Obviously, I live in England and we do have access to the NHS. So a lot of, the help that we get, although we might have to wait a very, very, very long time for it, a lot of that help is essentially free. Like, a lot of us don't have health insurance or anything like that, and I know that it's different in other countries, and I know that, accessing things like health insurance, that in itself comes with privilege. I know accessing certain medical help comes with privilege. So it could be that if you live in another country where you don't have the NHS or something like that, you don't have that style of healthcare system, it could be that you have finally been able to afford to access help, to be correctly diagnosed, to be put on the right medication, to be given the right help in terms of therapy or counseling or something like that. And maybe this was due to just luck, like an inheritance that came in, something that you were gifted or something that you are about to be gifted, and that will help you on this journey. It will assist you going forward on this journey, and it will help you acquire the answers that you are looking for when it comes to this specific thing that you are seeking. With this Eight of Swords, it does feel like at certain points in the past you might have been forced, or you felt forced to give up on things because things just were not going in your favor. It felt like whatever move you made, something was kind of restricting you. And I think you are very much stepping out of that energy due to this new discovery that you have made about yourself, whether that be a diagnosis or just some insight into who you are at a deeper level. Whatever it may be, it's like you don't feel as trapped, as paralyzed as what you did previously. Because there used to be this sense of like, oh, well, there's no way I can get out of this situation. There's nothing I can do right now. So I'm just going to give up. Due to the struggle that you were going through, it didn't always feel as though you could see things through to completion. But now you are, very much stepping up, and you are in your Queen of Pentacles energy, and also in your Magician energy. And I think, pal, too, the tea on you, something that people are saying is that this is starting to happen incredibly fast for you. With this Chariot, this is like the ball is rolling and there is nothing stopping it. Like a boulder is rolling down a hill. I'm kind of getting that imagery, and it is going so fast, there is just nothing stopping it. So it could have felt that for a long time, pal, too, you were kind of in a period of stagnation because you felt trapped by this one particular circumstance. But now that you've discovered more about yourself, now that you have had more of this clarity, you have come to terms with something, or you have overcome something, it's like there is nothing stopping you with this Chariot. You are this powerful force to be reckoned with. Now, this could be in terms of many things. It could be in regards to your own personal projects, your own skills that you are developing, your own manifestations, the things that you want to bring into fruition. But equally, it could be about you like advocating for other worthwhile causes, advocating for people, your passion projects, the things that you want to put all your energy into. It really feels to you as though you can go out and do those things now. And I think that is very much something that other people are noticing, other people are talking about, how you have stepped up and you are willing to be in the driver's seat of your life now. For some of you, this could be in relation to you leaving a job. It doesn't have to be this stuff to do with body image. For many of you, it might be, but this could also be to do with you leaving something that once felt familiar and therefore it felt comforting, but ultimately it was stifling. It felt as though it was trapping you, it was keeping you down. And now that you have sort of been forced to exit that situation, it is like there's no stopping you again with the Chariot. Like there's nothing stopping you from going after your desires. You are full steam ahead. If you identify with having spirit guides, maybe your spirit guides are this version of Regina and they are like, come on, loser, get in, we're going shopping. And they are taking you down this different trajectory. And maybe at one stage that was something that, it left you feeling a little bit confused with the Seven of Cups. It left you kind of feeling like, are you on the right path? But now I think things are starting to fall into place, or they are going to start falling into place in the very near future. And this will leave no doubt in your mind that you are on the right trajectory. You will know that you are going after what you truly desire, and you are the one making it happen. I feel as though there is this real sense of you feeling as though you are now unstoppable, and this is something that people are talking about. So you're serving them this unstoppable energy with this Magician. It's like you can make anything you want to happen. Now that this barrier has been removed, now that this restriction has been lifted, it's like nobody is stopping you getting what you want. I think you have so much willpower with both the Magician and the Chariot. So people could be talking about your incredible willpower. If this is something like you getting in touch with your own cycle, if you are somebody who experiences periods, it could be that you are utilizing moments in your cycle where you are able to concentrate the best, and you are throwing all of that energy into achieving your goals with this Magician, because that can talk a lot about concentration. It's like you have found the perfect potion, you've concocted the perfect recipe, you are doing something that works for you, and with it, it's brought this feeling of power, it's brought this feeling of like, this is what I'm meant to be doing, this is something that works for me, this is how I will proceed to go about my goals going forward. And if it is the case that you are going to be receiving some money, or you have received some money with this Queen of Pentacles, I think this is indicating that the tea on you is that you are using that money for a good purpose. And if that means like treating yourself a little bit and investing in things that just bring you happiness, this is you not feeling guilty for getting pleasure out of treating yourself, like even if it's just to some new clothes that you need or something like that. It's you not feeling guilty for that, but you potentially also saving some of that money for a rainy day, or saving that money to put towards a worthwhile cause, saving that money to put towards your dreams in the future or something like that. Because again, it comes down to this sense of balance. So it's like you realizing that, yes, I can spend a little bit of this money to treat myself. If I need a new wardrobe, if I need to buy a few new outfits to make me feel like this best, most powerful version of myself, then I'm going to do that. But equally, I'm not going to spend it all in one go. Like, I'm not going to blow it all in one go. I'm going to keep hold of some of it. I'm going to invest some of it. And ultimately, that will also bring me success. I think you are very much getting this sense that now you have had this moment of self discovery, now you have had these moments of personal growth, you are very much feeling as though success is inevitable. And I think that people are talking about how success is inevitable when it comes to you. Like, you are on the right track, you are working towards manifesting your goals, and there is nothing stopping you. There is just sort of nothing getting in your way anymore. Whatever barrier this was, it has been lifted. And I think there is so much relief that comes with this, and so much ability on your end to actually enjoy yourself, enjoy your life a little bit more, and experience pleasure again. Like, if this felt like something that was distant to you due to this situation, it's now like you reconnecting with yourself and experiencing pleasure in all aspects of life, like not just sexual, if you are not interested in that kind of thing, but even in terms of like the way you nourish yourself, the hobbies that you engage in. If you were once like super busy and you felt absolutely exhausted and run down, this is you really realizing that you need to prioritize your own pleasure and that it is okay to do that. I think with this Knight of Cups, this is very much an indicator that you are giving grace to yourself. Perhaps in the past, if you have been very hard on yourself, the tea on you is that you are finally giving grace to yourself. You are finally allowing yourself to make mistakes and figure out what works for you, but ultimately, you are not beating yourself up for it. You are no longer going to be in a battle with your own mind constantly. If that has been a prevalent issue for you in the past, I think, again, there is this deeper sense of balance. You are a mediator, even in terms of like the relationship that one side of yourself has with the other side of yourself, or something like that. You might have one side of you that has in the past been a bit of a bully, like you have put yourself down, you have been quite harsh on yourself, you have used critical language towards yourself, and maybe this is you really learning how to take a step back from that place of being extremely critical towards yourself, and you are able to reflect on like, okay, where is this feeling coming from? Like, why am I talking to myself in that way, and is this benefiting anyone? I think this is you showing yourself a lot of much needed grace, because I get the sense that you are, quite understanding and diplomatic when it comes to other people, but maybe not towards yourself. So this could be you learning not to be so harsh on yourself and not seeing, these self-discoveries. If you feel like something has gone wrong, it's not you blaming yourself, but it's you learning how to turn that into a lesson and turn it into just a learning experience and a way to better yourself. So that is the current tea on you, pal 2. I am just going to finish this reading by rolling the astro dice, so please bear with me and we'll have a look at what we got. Pal 2. Okay, pal 2, so we got Virgo. I don't know if you can see it, but we got Virgo over here. We've got the moon here, we've got the moon, and we've got house 5, 5th house. So interestingly enough, the 5th house is a Leo house, and it is all about pleasure. It is associated with pleasure. So I think the tea on you is that, again, like, you are finally starting to tap in to your own ability to experience pleasure in whatever way that may be. And it doesn't have to be sexual, but it could be in terms of the things you just enjoy doing, like your hobbies. I know Leo can often be associated with creativity, it can be associated with art, with drama. So all the sort of things relating to humanities, but a part of your human experience that perhaps in the past it feels as though you have been missing out on. This is you really starting to tap into doing more of those things that bring you joy, that light up your life, that bring you pleasure. And I think this is just radiating from you, and it might be something that people are talking about, because if you have, in the past, like with this Virgo as well, Virgo can often be associated with perfectionism, perfectionist tendencies. And I don't want this to come across as too stereotypical when it comes to signs. I know each and every sign is incredibly multifaceted, so I can't, summarize a sign's energy in just a few phrases, but I do have a lot of Virgo energy that is prevalent in my life. A lot of people I know with Virgo placements, and I know that a lot of those people have real trouble sort of letting loose sometimes and not abiding by the rules. A few of them are very regimented when it comes to the rules, their certain way of doing things. They can have sort of obsessive tendencies, not in terms of like a sort of Scorpio way, but actually, like, I do find that there is sometimes a bit of an overlap with Virgo energy and Scorpio energy, and I say that as a Scorpio myself. I do notice there can be similarities. So just in terms of that, like, perfectionism, I think sometimes Virgo energy does struggle with that, and they struggle with, you know, not always being bound by something, not always adhering to the rules. So this could be you, you know, people talking about you letting loose a little bit more, and you know, not being all or nothing, because I think that's something we talked about throughout the tarot reading, is like, maybe you are somebody who feels as though in the past you have been like all or nothing, and now it's like you're finally starting to let loose, have a bit of fun. Some of you could have recently been through your Saturn return. Maybe if your Saturn return was a difficult period, or it brought up some of these issues, maybe that you experienced in childhood to do with sexuality, or the way you see your body, or something like that, or trying to maintain that element of control in some way. And I realize as well, like, you might have been somebody who really struggled with that loss of control throughout 2020 with COVID and everything. You might have been somebody who struggled with that aspect of things. Like, if your routine was suddenly shifted, because, you know, Virgo is often associated with the sixth house, which is all to do with routines. So if your routine got shifted, it could have been that you had a lot of struggles throughout that particular time due to that shake-up that we all experienced, our routines being disrupted. And it could be that it felt as though following that, you never really got back on track. But now it's like you've learned to really surrender to this feeling of fun, of living more in the moment, of not having to control as much. Maybe, you know, whatever has happened to you recently, whether it be like receiving this diagnosis, or ending a relationship, or leaving a job, it feels as though you don't have to cling on to these coping mechanisms as much. And it's like you're finding a new safety within something with this moon, because, you know, the moon is associated with the fourth house, associated with Cancer. And it can talk about where we feel at home, where we feel safe. So it could be the coping mechanisms that you once saw as your safety. You are now establishing different, healthier coping mechanisms that benefit you more in the long run, and you are finding your safety in other things, or you are learning that you can still be safe without adhering to these impossible standards, without constantly having to control things or something like that. And with that, I think you are radiating more confidence. You are learning how to express yourself more, to have fun, to let loose, to really just enjoy your life in whatever capacity that may be. And I'm glad you're getting the opportunity to do that, pal two. That is what I am getting for your reading, pal two. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy it, please like the video, please comment, and if that's all possible, please subscribe. All of that would mean the absolute world to me, and I would just appreciate it so, so much. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi Pal3 Collective, welcome to your reading. If you chose the cat reading sticker and you chose the Wandering Moon Tarot, this will be your reading. This reading is titled, What's the Tea on You? What are you serving them? This reading is going to be all about the current tea, what is going on with you, any gossip, what people are saying, just generally what is going on in your life, and what energy are you stepping into in the upcoming future. If you would like further details regarding what this reading will entail, then please look at the pinned comment below, or look at the description box, or you can listen to the introduction and that will explain everything. So as usual, this reading will be split into two sections. We are going to start the reading by looking at one oracle card. The oracle card is actually this purple one that's at the bottom of the deck. It's from the Sacred Self-Care Oracle. So we will use that card to tap into the overarching energy, and you can use this card as confirmation that you have chosen the right pile if it sounds like you. If not, no worries, you are more than welcome to go back and choose a different pile. That is absolutely fine. You can also choose more than one if more than one is calling to you. The second portion of the reading will be the tarot reading, and that will be further confirmation for you. We will go into a bit of further detail, and we will also finish off the reading by rolling the Astro dice. So if that sounds like something you'll be interested in, please stick around. We are about to get started. I just want to thank you all so much for being here. If you like my content and if you like these style of readings, please feel free to like the video, leave me a comment, and if that's all possible, please subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you for anyone who has done any of those things so far. I really do appreciate it so much. Anyway, without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, so we have the cat sticker, cat reading Pride and Prejudice, a very well-educated cat. I am just going to put the tarot cards to one side for now because we are just looking at this oracle card in the first portion of the reading. So we have card number 42, read. So at the start of each reading, I always like to mention the numbers on the card. The number 42 could be significant to you. This could be an age. It could just be a number you are seeing a lot of. It could be in terms of like when you add up 4 and 2, that makes 6. Maybe really good maths from me there. I'm like just stating the complete obvious here. Um, but yeah, that makes 6. So 6 could be significant to you, like you could be a life path 6 or something like that. Or these could just be angel numbers or synchronicities that you are seeing a lot of generally. So either 4, 2, or 6, you could be seeing a lot of 2, 2, 2 or 4, 4, 4. Just something like that. So please take that if it resonates, that this is confirmation you've chosen the right pile. It absolutely doesn't have to. It's just that little bit of extra confirmation that I like to give at the start of the readings. So, a prevalent theme for you, Pal 3, the T on you, something people could be talking about is the fact that you are learning a new skill and or really expanding your knowledge regarding something. So, at the moment, you could be studying for something. Now, this doesn't have to be in terms of like you're at college or university or something like that. It could well be. It could be that you are currently a student, you are currently spending a lot of time learning and focusing on your work, on understanding the thing you are studying. However, it could also be that you are, for example, learning how to drive, or you are attending a language class, or you are at a certain position at work and you are trying to level up to a different position at work. So you are expanding your skills in that way. You are going on courses, you are studying, reading up, researching things. And if it's not learning a specific skill like that, if you don't have like a particular goal in mind in terms of learning a skill, it could just be expanding your knowledge in terms of your own personal development, doing a lot of self reflection, maybe reading books that have like expanded your consciousness in some way. Maybe reading about, I'm getting something to do with reading books to do with mindfulness, or even about like self worth or body image issues or something like that. Just something that is like reframing a certain topic to you in a different way. It could also be that you are learning more about a current topic in order to like advocate for something. So if there was like something within history, let's say, that you didn't have a great deal of knowledge on, this could be you, researching what has happened historically when it comes to that topic. For example, like women's rights issues or something like that. And this could be you really getting involved with the community in that way. Like you are expanding your knowledge, you are learning about these things in order to advocate for worthwhile causes or something like that. That could be something that you're really interested in doing at the moment. So I think something that people could be saying about you, Pal 3, is essentially like, you know your shit. That is the phrase that I'm getting. So it's basically like you've expanded your knowledge, you've learned about something, you're sharing the facts, you're sharing the statistics, you're not only educating yourself, but you're also capable of educating other people on a certain topic. And it could be that when this topic is brought up and somebody makes an uninformed opinion about it, it could be that people want to correct them almost by saying like, well, I wouldn't say that to Pal 3 because Pal 3 knows their shit. They know all about this. Don't even argue with them because they have got the facts to back up what they're saying. Like, this isn't just their opinion. They have really educated themselves on this topic and they know how to argue a point. It could be that you are becoming better at standing up for yourself. Like I was going to say debating, and this could very well be the case if this is about like a certain controversial topic that you discuss with people within society. But I think it's also learning how to stick up for yourself and defend yourself when it's necessary. This isn't you like being defensive and getting in your feelings about like every offhand comment that someone makes to you. If anything, I think it's like the opposite. I think you've really been working, if this is to do with like you reading more books in terms of like self-help or something like that, this is you really learning to take a step back and reflect on the fact that the way people treat you is a reflection on them and not you. So it's maybe you, like if you have been somebody who is really sensitive, like there's nothing wrong with that at all. If you are a really sensitive person, I can totally relate to that. I am 100% very sensitive too. I have a Cancer Mars and I'm just like always crying. So like I completely get it if that is the case. Like I'm not saying that you have to cry a lot, but it could just be that you are quite empathetic. You feel things quite deeply. Maybe like hearing and seeing the news and things like that really bothers you because it really, really upsets you to hear about people or animals or like children. I don't know why I categorize children as a separate category to people when I'd already said that. But yeah, it's just ignore me. But yeah, it could be that like you get really upset when you hear about bad things happening to any of the aforementioned, and maybe like you have done a lot of work in terms of like trying to reframe certain things and trying to channel that sensitivity and that need to make the world a better place and do better for humanity. Maybe you have channeled all of the feelings of that into something more productive, and this is why you are educating yourself and getting that knowledge. But it's also like allowed you to not be less sensitive, but maybe to be less reactive. Like if you ever struggled with, feeling like you had to react when somebody was being difficult with you, let's say, like if somebody was confrontational with you for no reason, if you always like spent a long time in your head about that, like reassessing every interaction that's happened in your life, like you'd sit up in bed at night thinking like, oh, well, what did it mean when they said that? And this and that. It could be that you are learning to approach interactions from a more neutral place, from a place of neutrality, from just assessing that situation in terms of the facts and not internalizing any of the projections that that other person might have put on you. So I think maybe this is something that people can really see that you have been working on, and it could be something that they are talking about. It could be like that you have really developed in terms of your self confidence, and I think a lot of it is to do with this new knowledge that you are gaining. And if you aren't learning anything in particular, as in you're not doing driving lessons or you're not taking a course or something like that, what it could be is that you are getting into reading for pleasure again. And I say again because I think in the past, maybe when you were a child and you had more time at your disposal, maybe you read a lot. Like maybe you were somebody who learned to read from quite early on and you raced through books like as soon as you could read. Maybe you were reading books that were like more advanced for your age or something like that, and maybe you spent a lot of time reading, and maybe this was something that kind of, as you got into adult life, as you approached the stage where you had to get a job and that took a lot of your energy, or you started a family, or whatever it is that's taking up a lot of your time, it could have been that you lost that desire to read at some point, to really throw yourself into works of fiction, into books, and to really derive pleasure from that. So it could be that you are enjoying those experiences once again. Like it's just a little bit of extra confirmation. If you have had a bit more time to read recently, or if you have forced yourself to make time, or if you have got lost in a book, like if you are currently reading something that has absolutely just hooked you in and is refusing to let go, then this is also a bit of extra confirmation that this is your pile. And it could be that like if people have always known that you are like interested in books and reading and things like that, it could be that people always want to ask you about your opinions on books, or like if you have friends, maybe like behind your back they say something like, oh well, pal 3 always knows the best books, like the best new thrillers that are out recently, or people always see you as very knowledgeable. Like if somebody has a particular topic that there are a lot of books about, it could be that you have like a special interest that people always rely on you to talk about. So if someone brings this up, it's like, oh, go and ask pal 3, like they know all about this, they've read all the books, they just have all the knowledge about this. They see you as very like well educated on a particular topic in that sense. It could be that if you review books or anything like that, people always want to hear your opinion on new releases. Like people always want to see your reviews and see what you're saying. They really value your opinion, and people know that they can rely on you when it comes to giving books a fair review or something like that. So it could be that this is a case of you getting back into reading for fun. Also, I know this message is probably only going to be for like one or two people, but it could be that going back to the thing of you like learning something new, it could be that if you are working on yourself, like in terms of personal development, it could be that you are learning things that have allowed you to reflect on relationships that you've had. Like, because with the way this girl looks on the card, I don't know her eyes, it's making me think like she's just learnt something that has kind of shocked her. However, for you, I feel like this is a thing that might have been shocking at the time, but it's enabled you to grow since you found out about it. So this could be in terms of like you reflecting on a past relationship, and maybe you have discovered through reading, through expanding your knowledge on different kinds of relationships, on topics such as like emotional abuse or gaslighting or manipulation or something like that. It could be that you discovered that that relationship you were in was toxic or something like that, and that's how you found out about it. And now it's like you're putting your knowledge into practice by, like, if you go on a date with anyone else, let's say, you know these signs to look out for because of what you've learned. Maybe you have read a book recently where you have been like, oh my gosh, like I used to have a relationship exactly like this, and this is an abusive relationship, like I didn't realize, but actually that relationship was quite abusive. Like, what am I going to do with this information going forward? It's kind of that vibe, because I don't think you are like in that situation right now. It seems like a sort of, I want to say like the damage has already been done, like the damage has already happened. And I don't mean that as in like you are damaged. I just mean that in terms of like you've already been through the worst of it. I think that is the phrase I wanted to say. You've already been through the worst of it. And at the time, maybe you didn't see the situation for what it was. But now, like, you have expanded your knowledge and you are seeing that situation with more clarity in a way that is enabling you to grow, is what I'm getting. I know that might only be for a couple of people. Another thing that might also only be for a couple of people that I'm getting is that if you are a writer or anything like that, you could have been concentrating on your own work, your own writing, and some of you could have reached like a dead end in terms of expanding whatever project you're working on. Maybe it feels as though there is a slight lack of inspiration, like you've got to this point of writing, of creating something, and you don't really know where to go from there. And I just think there's a message here, like encouraging you to read more. And I know that sounds strange, and I know sometimes like with creative projects, I know like I've done this before because I like creative writing was part of my degree. So I used to write a lot. Essentially, I love to write the kind of things that I also loved to read about, but sometimes I would put off reading a book that I knew I would really enjoy whilst I was working on my own creative project, because I'd think like, oh, well, I don't want to end up copying this author or something like that. I know that sounds weird, but I didn't want to, inadvertently copy something that was in somebody else's work. So I kind of avoided reading other things like whilst I was writing. But actually, you can gain inspiration from other works, other people's works, without copying them. It's more like I'm getting the message that, like, if you throw yourself into books, the things that you really love reading about, it can give you inspiration in the fact that you can sit there and think like, okay, well, what really hit me about this book? What feelings did this book bring, and how did this author do that? So it's not necessarily like copying them, but it's just figuring out what works and how you can implement that when it comes to your own style and your own work. That is a message I'm getting for somebody. Like, if it's not you, just ignore that part. But definitely some of you are creative, some of you are writers, some of you have really profound ideas. And I think this is something that people talk about as well when they spill the tea on you. They're like, it could be like people really admire you. If you are in class for, a creative work, people in the class really admire you, or just your friends when you tell them about your ideas. If you do that, it's like they really admire you. They talk about it. Like, the tea on you is that you are extremely talented. It could even be something like if you sort of anonymously put your work out there, like if you ever wrote fan fiction or anything like that, like Wattpad fiction. It could be that the tea on you is that people were always eagerly on the edge of their seat waiting for your next piece of fiction to drop, the next part of the story, the next chapter. Maybe people were a bit annoyed, like if you did write on Wattpad or something like that and then you kind of like gave up, you lost the inspiration. Maybe some people were annoyed that you like left them hanging, like they wanted to hear more of the story, they really enjoyed your work, and they thought you were a genuinely talented writer or something like that. The T on you overall is definitely that you are considered like the smart one or something like that of your group. People see you as having a lot of skills. They see you as being like the person to ask if somebody needs help with a particular topic, whatever you kind of specialize in, whatever is a special interest for you, people really value that knowledge, and you are the kind of person that people come to when they want to know more about that topic. And I think people really believe that they couldn't get anything past you. I think they think you are quite clever at picking up on social cues and things like that and body language. I think something about you reading people very well, like you being able to see straight through people, tell whether people are lying. But I think the same can't be said for you. I'm getting something about you being quite difficult to read. Maybe people have told you this before, but I'm definitely getting the sense that that is kind of the T on you. Like maybe people don't always know where they stand with you. And that's not necessarily like a negative thing, but it's more like, you know, if this was a potential romantic interest, let's say, it could be that there is an element of mystery surrounding you. Like they might not know where they stand because they just can't tell. Like you are a mystery, you are difficult to read. They can't sort of pinpoint what you might be thinking or feeling. This could also be indicating that people want to learn more about you because of this element of mystery. Maybe people in your life, like if you are dating someone, maybe they are trying desperately hard to kind of study you and find out what you like, what you dislike. Maybe somebody is like stalking your social media or something like that if you have social media, just trying to learn and find out more about you. Maybe you always surprise people, like the more they get to know you, the more little interesting facts that they find, and it just leaves them quite pleasantly surprised, I think. There is something very intriguing about you, and people just want to learn more about you. Maybe you are asked about a lot. Like maybe if you go out with a group of friends and there are some acquaintances at the event, maybe the acquaintances are often asking about you wherever you go. Maybe they're like, you know, who is that? How do you know them? Who is this Pal 3 person? What do they do? It's like people are asking about you behind your back, not in a bad way, just as in like you seem like such a mystery and they want to learn more about you. They want to study you and find out how you operate. With this sticker of the cat reading Pride and Prejudice, I'm getting the sense of somebody maybe being a bit of a homebody, like maybe you are a little bit introverted, you prefer to be at home, you don't like going out too much or something like that. Maybe you have a cat and you like to curl up in bed with your cat. Maybe as you're watching this reading, there is a cat curled up with you right now if you're on the sofa or you're watching from your bedroom or something like that. Yeah, so there is definitely a kind of homebody, comforting, soft energy. Maybe you are a big animal lover, maybe particularly you just love cats. Maybe the T on you is that animals tend to gravitate towards you, and this is something that people comment on. And maybe you really liked Pride and Prejudice if you've ever read it. That doesn't have to be the case, but if you've read it, or if you are even currently reading it, or if you're thinking about reading it, if that book is significant to you in some way, that could just be a little bit of extra confirmation. That is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, Pal 3. We are going to move on to the tarot, so please bear with me and we'll get started with that. Hi, Pal 3 Collective. Welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, Pal 3. So we have the Seven of Stars in reverse. Stars is Pentacles in this deck, by the way. We have the Six of Moons reversed. Moons are cups. We have the Ten of Moons. We have the Five of Stars. We have the Wanderer. This Wanderer card is exclusive to this deck, which is very exciting. We have the High Priestess. We have the King of Stars. And we have the Seven of Moons. Okay, Pal 3. So I think a lot of your reading today is very much centered around you really finding yourself and you really coming into your own as a person. Because I think in the past year or so, I want to say year, for some of you, it could be months, but I'm definitely getting that you have been through a significant hardship, definitely in recent months or within the past year. For some of you, this could even be in terms of you losing a job, you being unemployed for a period of time. or you ending a relationship and actually having to move out of the home that you shared with that person. For some of you, this could even be both. For a few of you, it's like these events could have kind of occurred simultaneously, they could have occurred at a similar time, and it just felt like your life sort of came crumbling down and you thought your life was going to go one way, and then it's like all these things came crashing down and it just started to go in very much an opposite direction, like particularly with this Seven of Stars and the Six of Moons in reverse. The Seven of Stars can sometimes speak to this kind of stagnation energy. It talks about a lack of growth. It often talks about unfinished business and it talks about setback. So it could be that there was something that very much felt like a barrier in your life. There was something standing between you and your happiness. It's like I really feel as though at one stage in the not so distant past, with this Ten of Moons, it's like you were longing for this fulfillment and you thought were going to achieve that fulfillment one particular way, and it didn't turn out that way. And I think at a certain stage that left you feeling lost. It left you feeling like you had to find yourself again. I'm getting that at a certain stage, it's like you had to confront the things that were no longer serving you. You had to confront the things that were no longer crucial to your growth. It's like you felt as though you were being forced to stay in this one stagnant energy. And maybe it took a lot of courage in order for you to move on from whatever that situation was. Like I say, for some of you, this might be having to leave a job. It's like I'm just getting this sense of you leaving a safety net. It's like a safety net, but it was a safety net that was kind of holding you back. It was keeping you safe, but it was also keeping you small. And I think you really got this sense that you wanted to go and explore the world and move on to bigger and better things and really try to better yourself. Maybe this was even in terms of like you wanted to go traveling, or you didn't want to stay in the same place. You didn't want to stay in your hometown, your home city, or something like that. Maybe this was you wanting to explore different cultures or just new ways of being. And maybe you were in a relationship with somebody, or you had friendships with a group of people who weren't on that same wavelength as you, and maybe you felt as though you had to move on from them in order to better yourself. So it could refer to that, like you taking a courageous, risky, or what felt like a risky leap into something completely new in order to better yourself. Because with the Six of Moons in reverse, this can often talk about leaving home, about trying to move forward. But also, it's hard to say whether you left a situation or whether you were forced to leave or whether you felt left. Because with this Five of Stars, that can indicate abandonment, that can indicate a loss of something, it can indicate isolation. So even if this was, like your choice to leave, it could have been there was a period of time where you were debating whether or not it was the right choice. So this could be many things, but if this was something like leaving your family home and starting over in a new place, in a new city, or something like that, or if it was leaving a group of friends, if you lived with friends at like university accommodation or something like that, this could be leaving and living on your own, or it could be actually leaving a relationship and having to move out. Whatever it may be, it's like you wanted to establish that independence in order to grow, but at the same time, for a period of time, it left you feeling really isolated. I think there was a period of time where you really went into yourself. It just felt as though you were alienated from the world around you, and I think you felt quite lonely for a period of time. And maybe this could be something that people were talking about, particularly, your family, if they were worried about you or anything like that. It could have been that they were concerned that you hadn't managed to like find yourself, you hadn't managed to adapt to this new way of being. Maybe they could have expressed some concerns to each other about how you were coping with this change. Particularly for those few of you where it's like a relationship ended and you lost your job or you had to leave a job at the same time. It could be that like when you started a new job or something like that, you really struggled to connect with people the way you did at your old workplace, or maybe like you struggled to adapt to their new ways of doing things. It could also be that you were just struggling generally to find employment in the aftermath of whatever this was. So if you were struggling to find employment, it could be that because you weren't, managing to get out and interact with colleagues. Because even if you don't always get on with your colleagues, like even if you don't consider them friends or anything like that, sometimes as humans, even if you are shy and introverted, we need like a little bit of social interaction. But it could have been that you went through a period of time where you just weren't able to access that social interaction because you just weren't seeing people day to day. Maybe you were stuck in the house and it left you feeling quite lonely and quite like, oh, this wasn't the trajectory that my life was supposed to go down with this 10 of moons, because maybe you once like had a vision for how your life would be at this point, and it wasn't the reality. It wasn't working out like that, and I think it made you do some deep reflection, and maybe that's where this thirst for knowledge came from, that started you off on this journey of learning more about yourself, of maybe reflecting on past relationships or past friendships or something like that. And also it encouraged you to do your own growth and your own healing work. I keep getting the word lost, so it could be like with this 7 of stars as well. When we spoke about a few of you maybe being creatives or being writers or something like that, it could have been that at some point you lost your passion towards a particular project. Maybe you got some unfair criticism on your project, or maybe you just kind of fell out of love with the idea. Maybe you went through a difficult time with like your mental health, or you were struggling to concentrate and you were struggling to really implement the practical side of making this project a reality. Maybe it's like you had loads of ideas floating around in your head, but you couldn't, always get them down on paper or type them up on your laptop or whatever. Maybe you were just kind of drawing a blank. And maybe it was due to this feeling of isolation, maybe the lack of interaction. If you did go through something like that, it made you kind of shut down, like it's almost like your brain wasn't working to its full capacity. I know that sounds weird, but it's like you were kind of in this daze, like this blur, and just going about your day-to-day life on autopilot, but there was a lack of creative ideas. So maybe like you gave up on this project for a certain period of time, and in turn that made you feel as though you were giving up on your dream. And maybe you thought to yourself, well, I thought at this stage that, let's say if it's the writing example, maybe you thought like you would have a published book, and you would be earning money from that, you would be receiving an income from that. And when that wasn't the case, I think you were feeling a bit lost, like, well, what do I do now? Because I thought my life was going to be one way and now it's not. Now, I'm really struggling with putting these things into action, and where do I go from here? Like, if I can't do this, what do I need to do? It's like you were looking for guidance. I just feel for you, Pal 3, like a lot of things happened all around the same time. And I think at the time you kind of dealt with these events, but you didn't really deal with them. I think you dealt with them in terms of like, because there was so much taking your attention, taking your focus, it's like you dealt with what needed to be dealt with, but you didn't really have the time to reflect on everything that had happened to you. So let's say like your relationship ended and you went through this period of unemployment at the same time. It's like you didn't maybe really get a chance to process the relationship ending or why that happened and how you felt about it, because your focus was very much survival. You were like, right, well, I need to focus on getting another job now because, this job has ended. I need to move on to something else. So maybe you threw all your energy into that. And maybe following that, it's like you wanted to jump straight back into your creative projects and really going after those goals. But maybe there was a part of you where you couldn't bring yourself to do that because you hadn't really processed the things that you needed to process when it came to like this relationship of some kind ending or something like that. So maybe it's like you force yourself to, go into creative mode too soon. Maybe you weren't really ready to just shift to that mode. You needed to really take a step back and process your emotions. And I think you maybe misinterpreted this lack of being able to put your ideas down onto paper and to make them a reality. I think you misinterpreted that as you being lazy, rather than you maybe just like, maybe you were in freeze mode, maybe you were kind of paralyzed by these things that you'd been through. It's like you hadn't given yourself a chance to process them, but instead you just went straight to like, well, I should just be able to get on with it. I should just be able to throw myself back into my projects. That should be able to work for me. Like, if I am talented, if I am as talented as I think I am, if I could do this as a career, I would just be able to do this. It's like you were putting a lot of blame on yourself, but at the same time you weren't allowing yourself to fully feel your feelings. I feel like that's maybe something that you needed to do. It could have been that your family were saying something about you, like if other family members would ask about you, they'd be like, "Oh, like how is pal 3 after the breakup? And like I've heard they've moved out, like are they okay?" Your family could have said something like, "Oh, well yeah, like I don't know, they don't really talk about it. Like I think they're okay, but I don't know." It's like they could have been secretly worried about the fact that you hadn't had chance to process all these things. So it's like your family kind of knew that you were struggling, but maybe you weren't vocalizing all of this. So potentially they didn't know the full extent, because I don't think you even knew the full extent of how much you were struggling. With this Seven of Wands, I'm definitely getting that you really went through a period of trying to connect with what your soul purpose was, what your true purpose was, your calling. It's like maybe you had to take a step back from this goal, from this creative project, whatever that was, to really think about what you actually wanted in life, because your life had gone down a different route. Something had happened where it had thrown you off track and you really had to reassess everything. So with the Seven of Moons, it's like you were in your head a lot, like fantasizing, about what your life could be, but you weren't really putting things into action. Maybe this was a period of time where you were exploring yourself, but the overarching energy with this pile is one of exploration. It's definitely about you exploring yourself, the world around you, you really rediscovering the things you love. And obviously, in the Oracle, we got something coming through about you maybe getting back into reading again, if that has always been a passion for you. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be like the specific example of reading. It could just be you rediscovering an old passion, something that you thought you had lost interest in that has now regained your attention. And now it's like you're able to fully throw yourself back into it and be fully passionate and present with it again. I'm actually going to read from the guidebook with this Wanderer card, because, as I said, this is a card that's exclusive to this deck. There is a few extra cards in this deck, so don't tell the other piles, pile 3, but you got one extra. So I'm just going to read that out and we'll see what that says. Okay, so it says we've got the Wanderer artwork. A solitary traveller of the cosmos sits upon a planet's surface, looking up and gazing at a crescent moon. This figure is surrounded by universal energy and cosmic love. They have been traveling other realms and dimensions within their higher consciousness. Their energetic body, the aura, is where this figure has combined all of the shining aspects of themselves, the past, the present, and the future. And on the actual description of the card, it says, the Wanderer, the first of 3 cards unique to this deck. This card represents the I Am presence, the multidimensional part of our consciousness. It is your past, present, future self combining to make up the sum of you as a spiritual being in your physical body. It is your connection to source energy and the ability to manifest. This card is asking you to connect with your I Am presence, to interact with others from a place of love, to be mindful and appreciate the moments you find yourself in. It's a reminder of the importance of being present in everyday life. The Wanderer upright, which is what you got, is remaining grounded, being present, appreciating you as a multidimensional being, consciousness, remaining in your heart space, integration of the self. And obviously you didn't get this card in reverse, but I will just read out the reversal just to give you like the full description of this card in its entirety. So reversed, it is feeling separate from your spirit, unappreciative, ungrateful, not grounded, feeling disconnected, loneliness, isolation, duality of the self. So I do find that really, really interesting, because there is definitely this overarching energy of a lot of self-discovery, of you discovering new things, of you finding yourself. And although you definitely have been through significant hardship in the not so distant past, it's like you have been able to reflect on some of your past and see your past not as a burden or as a barrier that it once was, but as a stepping stone to you getting where you need to be. And I feel like, particularly if you are a creative or you are working on a creative project, you are writing, you are creating poetry or something like that for some of you, it's like you are using some of these past experiences in order to really express your true emotions. If your emotions were something that at one point you were repressing, or you weren't really talking about, what was going on internally, it's like your creative outlets, it might have been like a stage in the past, like when you were, trapped in this relationship that wasn't serving you, if that was the case, or if you were in this dead-end job that was taking up all of your energy and draining you. It's like maybe you tried to pursue your passions, your creative projects then, but maybe you were a bit disconnected from those projects because maybe you couldn't throw all of your emotions into them. And there was something where, like, maybe you'd read some of your writing back and you were like, there is something flat about this. Like, I'm not able to, fully express the ideas that I want to convey. Like, I feel what I want to say strongly in my head, I feel it in my heart, but I'm not able to express this on paper. There is something that it feels like you were struggling with, a blockage of some kind in communicating the actual messages that you wanted to send. But it's now, like, due to the experiences that you've had, the hardship, it's like you understand how to get this message across better, and you are beginning to find yourself, like to find your voice due to this exploration that you have undergone, due to you being able to tap into your intuition with this high priestess. You are now better able to articulate the message that you really want to convey when you are creating. Your creations are coming from a place of you utilizing your empathy, maybe discussing some painful things, but it's like your creative projects now feel a lot more, I want to say raw, but it's like you are really able to channel the raw emotion and throw it into these projects in a way that you previously couldn't. Previously, you felt blocked from being able to do that, to access that place. But it's like now, due to the soul searching that you've undergone, because maybe like at a certain point when you were trying to create these things, maybe you couldn't really come from a place of emotion because it was too painful, because you hadn't done that inner work. But it's like now you are gaining this insight, you are gaining this knowledge. I think you have read, maybe self-help books, maybe books about mindfulness, and you have understood more about how to really process these emotions, and it has only helped you creatively. So that could be what people are saying. Like, if you are sharing your work with other people in some way, it could be that people are really excited to hear what you have to say because it so succinctly symbolizes what it is like to go through a human experience or something like that. It's like people really connect with your work. The tea on you is that people could be finding you incredibly talented. They might want to hear more from you. They might want to learn more about you in terms of, like, if you are putting your writing out into the world or anything like that, but you kind of remain anonymous. And again, I'm like thinking of this kind of Wattpad idea. It could be that people are really thinking about who you could be. Like, if you are anonymous, people are saying like, oh, well, who would write this kind of thing? Like, I want to know more about this person's life because it sounds like they've been through some stuff or something like that. It could be that the tea on you is that people just really want to know who you are and, where do your brilliant ideas come from or something like that. I definitely think you have done a lot of work in terms of trying to remain grounded and to try and be in the present moment. Maybe in the past, this is something that you have really struggled with. If you are somebody who has often found their mind wandering, I think you have always been a wanderer, not necessarily in terms of physical travel, although that could be something that you are wanting to explore or you will be exploring in the upcoming future. And maybe the tea on you is that people are talking about what you have planned for your literal travels or something like that. Maybe some people are jealous of you that you are getting to explore certain parts of the world. But I think you have always been like a wanderer in terms of your own mind, like your thoughts flip from this to this to this, like your mind jumps around a lot. So maybe you have done a lot of work in terms of remaining in the present moment and, really trying to stay focused and committed to your goals, because with this King of Stars as well, that talks about somebody who is very dedicated. So it could be that, like, since you have refound your passion when it comes to your job or a new relationship or just you generally, or particularly for many of you, a creative project, something that you want to throw your heart and soul into. It's like maybe for the first time ever, you are being really committed with one project consistently because you have done this inner work. And maybe consistency, like if it's something you have struggled with in the past, like starting something and then giving up, because I feel like you have so many ideas as well and they're always like bubbling over the surface, but you might struggle to put them into practice. But it's like with this particular project, you have worked on yourself to the point where this particular project, you do not want to let it slip out of your fingers, is what I'm getting. You do not want this idea to get away from you. You feel like this is something so important that you need to deliver this message and you need to get your ideas out into the world. And if you have expressed this to other people, like if you've talked about what you have planned, I think people are talking about how they are very excited for you and they definitely feel as though you could accomplish great things with whatever this goal is that you have in mind. And something about this kind of feels like a revolutionary idea with this King of Stars, because I get the sense that people are really saying that this is something that could bring you prosperity, it could bring you abundance and security. Like, it's like with this 10 of Moons, you thought your life was going to go one way, and you had a really hard time when you found out that that wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen in the way you planned, and you couldn't reach that fulfillment the way you originally intended. But your life is going to go a different way. But I'm getting that it's still going to result in this prosperity. It's going to result in you feeling secure and safe. I don't think you are going to want for anything when it comes to finances, if that is something that you have been worried about. You might not feel fully secure now, especially if you've dealt with unemployment or anything like that. But I'm really getting that people are confident that your ideas could really bring a lot of abundance your way. You have a lot of brilliant ideas, and I think you are only just getting started in terms of like learning how to implement them. But you have done such a lot of inner healing work that I definitely feel as though, like this is only the start of your journey, and things are only going to start feeling more prosperous for you in the upcoming future. That is what I am getting in regards to the tea on you, pile 3. We are just going to finish up this reading by rolling the astro dice. Please bear with me and we'll have a look at that. Pile 3. Okay, pile 3, so interestingly we have the moon. I think that came up in the previous reading. It actually might have come up in the previous 2 readings, which is interesting because last week, my reading last week, I kept getting the 2nd house, I think, for every reading, and now it's like I'm getting the moon for every reading this week. So yep, the moon is there. We have Libra here, we have Libra, and we have the 7th house here. So Libra energy could be significant to you. You could have Libra in your chart. Often when we talk about Libra on the shadow side, Libra can deal with being indecisive. So perhaps if this was an issue for you in the past, maybe people who were close to you expressed concerns that you were wandering and that you were struggling to find a clear direction in life or something like that. But I'm really getting the sense that things are starting to fall into balance, because Libra can indicate balance as well. So it's like things are becoming more harmonious in that sense. Maybe you are rediscovering yourself, and with that it's brought you a lot of balance in terms of your emotions, particularly like with this moon coming through as well, because maybe in the past you have been quite conflict avoidant, or you haven't wanted to express your full emotions because you have been worried about like upsetting people, or you just don't want people to be worried about you. I think you have tried to be like almost too self-sufficient in the past. You've tried to repress some of your emotions, but maybe through these creative outlets, it's like you are channeling the pain that you have gone through into a creative project, and it's really working for your benefit, because that in turn is like allowing you to fully process these emotions, to get in touch with them, to really feel your feelings, but also to release them, like to let them out, because it felt like there was a lot of suppression for such a long time with this moon, and now it's like you are discovering more and more about yourself and the truth is coming out, but it's in a really positive and productive way. And kind of along that note, I feel like with the 7th house coming through, for some of you, it could be that if you have recently met someone who you think could be important to you, in whatever context that may be, if this could be a potential romantic interest, if you have done your inner healing work, this could be an indicator that if you are confused about whether you are ready to go into something new, this could be an indicator that you have done your work, you are ready, you can feel more confident about your choices. If you are feeling like you will make the same mistakes in terms of your potential partners, I think this is saying that you can really trust and rely on yourself, particularly with this King of Stars coming through. It's like you can trust yourself to make decisions. Don't feel like you can't. If you have done your work, if you feel ready, if you are enjoying the company of another person and you want to pursue it, definitely do that, because this relationship could be important to you. It could also be indicating that it is okay to rely on other people, pile 3. Maybe the tea on you is that you have been too self-reliant in the past. Maybe you haven't wanted to bother anybody, to worry anybody, but it's like you have such close bonds with people that if you're going through a hard time, the people around you will inevitably figure that out. Even if in the past you have been quite hard to read, it's like people still can pick up on when there's something going on with you. So it's okay to express how you feel if you're going through a hard time. It's okay to talk to friends about it. It's okay to lean on your relationship sometimes. I think that is mainly what this energy is about and why it's coming through. And if you are a cat person, it's basically like you don't just have to rely on your cat for company. Like you can contact other people when you are having a hard time. Don't feel alone, don't feel isolated. There are people around you who want to help you because they do sense when something is going on with you. They know when you're not feeling your best. And it's great if you want to channel, that pain into creativity. That is brilliant. But you can also vent to people and rely on other people as well. That is what I'm getting for you, Pal 3. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video, please comment, and if that's all possible, please subscribe. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi, Powerful Collective. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the milk sticker and you chose the Everyday Witch Tarot, this will be your reading. This reading is titled, What's the Tea on You? What are you serving them? This is all about the current tea on you. What's going on in your life at the moment? Any gossip, things that people might be saying or thinking about you, just things going on for you at the moment, as well as the energy you are going to be stepping into in the upcoming future. If you would like further information regarding what this reading will entail, then please check out the pinned comment below, or you can also look at the description box below, or please feel free to go back and listen to the introduction. That will explain what this reading is about in further detail. Similarly to my other readings, we will start the first portion of the reading by looking at the one oracle card. The oracle card is already selected for you. It's actually at the bottom of this deck, so it's this purple card underneath the tarot cards. That will represent the overarching energy of your reading. Please use that portion of the reading as confirmation that you've chosen the right pile. If not, please feel free to go back and choose a different pile. You are also very welcome to choose more than one pile if more than one is calling to you. Then the second portion of the reading will be the tarot portion, which will elaborate on this energy in further detail. We will then finish the reading by rolling the astro dice. So we are about to get started with this. I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who listens to my readings. I really do appreciate it more than you know. Thank you for liking my videos, for commenting, and for subscribing. And if you haven't done any of the aforementioned, please consider doing that. It would just mean the absolute world to me, and I would appreciate it so much. So with all of that said, let's get started with this reading. Let's have a look at the oracle card we pulled for you. So I'm just going to put the Everyday Witch Tarot to the side, and we will look at that in a little bit. I'm going to pop this sticker here and let's have a look. Okay, so we have card number 26, Health Checkup. So at the start of each reading, I always like to mention the numbers on the piles. It could be that the number 26 is significant to you. This could be an age you are at currently. It doesn't have to be. It could also be a number you are seeing a lot of. If you've passed the age of 26, maybe 26 was a significant age to you, like something happened at this time that is somehow relevant to this reading. It could also be that you are seeing a lot of the number 222 or something like that, or just 2626 or something. It could also be that you are just seeing a lot of these numbers, maybe in terms of synchronicity, in terms of angel numbers. The number is just relevant to you for some reason. This could be a relevant date in the upcoming month or last month or something like that, because, this is representative of sort of current energy and upcoming future. It could also be that the number 8 is significant to you because 2 plus 6 equals 8. So maybe, I don't know, something to do with a life path or just the number 8 being relevant to you. None of this has to be the case. It is just like a little bit of extra confirmation that I do like to mention in case any of that stands out to you in any way. So with this particular pile, I'm actually getting a lot of overlap with pile 2. So if you were called to listen to pile 2, there might be some overlap here with you, because I think a lot of this has to do with the physical self. And some of you, when I mentioned like age 26, so if you're from the UK, you don't have to be, but if you are from the UK, I know like when you're 25 is when you are called to go for your first cervical screening or like pap smear, if you're from America or somewhere else where they call it like a different thing. So if you have reached the age of 26 and you have put off your cervical screening, maybe you said to yourself, like, oh, I'll book it in soon, but I've just been really busy. Maybe it's just been put on the back burner, you've just put it off. This is telling you that you need to book in for your health checkup in regards to your cervical screening. I know that might only relate to a few people, but if that is you, please remember to do that. It is important that you look after your health, your physical body, and your sexual health, all of that. So please do that. If you have been putting off, it doesn't even have to be cervical screening, but if you have been putting off a health checkup and you have been saying to yourself, I am just too busy, I feel like a lot of you have maybe been feeling run down recently, and this could be reminding you that if you have been feeling run down, it could be like a vitamin deficiency, something as simple as that. It's something that could be very easily fixable, but it's like you've been putting off looking after yourself. Like some of you just haven't managed to get around to booking a doctor's appointment. For some of you, this might be a dental checkup. And if so, I am not judging you because I need to book in for a dental checkup. I had to cancel my last one because I had to work and I haven't phoned them up to rearrange. So I need to do that as well. So maybe this is a reminder to me too. But if you have put off anything like that, this is first of all confirmation that you've chosen the right pile. If you are just the type of person to put off those kinds of appointments, maybe you dread ringing up to book those appointments. I hate that so many services, it can't be done online. You still have to ring up and speak to a person. I just find it really awful. Like I hate doing that. So I totally understand if you are in the same boat, like if you struggle with social anxiety or anything like that and you hate ringing places up to make appointments, I get it. But ultimately, you have to look after your physical health because you are only able to fully shine when you are looking after all aspects of you. And I don't want you to feel like any of these aspects of you are unimportant. Like, don't tell yourself that your physical health is not worth investing in. All of these, you could have set goals for yourself, for example, like you want to do XYZ, you want to reach a physical fitness goal, and you could have been more concerned with, the aesthetics of that or how you will look or come across to other people. I'm not saying this has to be the case, but that's just one example. It could have been like, oh, I want to look really good for my holiday this year and I want to fit in this certain size. But it's like maybe you haven't been able to push yourself to the full extent when, exercising physically because you are feeling run down, you are feeling drained. And the reason you could be feeling drained is because you've put off these health checkups. Like if it is a vitamin deficiency or something like that, it could be like you are deficient on vitamin D or B12. Some of you could be plant-based or vegetarian. And I'm not saying that with judgment. I try to eat mostly plant-based as well. But obviously it can be harder to get nutrients from food alone. I'm not saying it's impossible, by the way, and I'm not getting into a debate about that. But if you are somebody who doesn't always plan your meals efficiently because maybe you are too busy due to work or whatever else is going on in your life, if you're too busy to plan and prep meals properly and really think about the nutritional content and you are plant-based, or even if you're not, it can be very easy to, become deficient in some vitamins. I don't know why I keep getting something about deficiency, but I'm just getting that if you are able to fix this problem, even if you don't want to see a doctor, even if you don't think you would need a prescription, I would definitely advise getting a blood test, getting checked in that way, find out what you're deficient in, and then get vitamins from a reputable source. Don't just buy any old vitamins that you find on the internet. Obviously, educate yourself on which companies are actually legit, or go to a pharmacy and get their advice or something like that. If you're not able to attend an official appointment at the moment, definitely go and check in with your local pharmacist and see if they have any advice. But I would definitely recommend getting your bloods checked, checking for any deficiencies. I mean, this could even be why the milk sticker is coming through, because doesn't milk have, I don't drink cow's milk, but doesn't milk have some of those vitamins in? Obviously, I'm not very knowledgeable. I know milk has calcium in, so maybe it's something to do with calcium. Maybe you have been struggling with dental issues recently due to a lack of calcium or something like that. I know that's going to only apply to a small minority of people, but maybe the tea on you is that you put off making the appointments that you need to make. And to really call you out, pal 4, I definitely think you are the type to like show up to places looking amazing. Like you'd get your hair done, you'd get your makeup done, you'd go to your waxing appointment, your eyebrow appointment, your eyelash appointment, but you are putting off your health checkups. Something to do with you putting it off and something to do with you prioritizing other things. And yes, these other things might make you feel better momentarily, and there's nothing wrong with going and pampering yourself and getting, you know, hair appointments and makeup appointments, eyelash appointments. There's zero wrong with that. But also, in the long run, you will feel so much better if you fully take the time to look after your physical health, to take care of your body. And this includes doing really boring and mundane things like booking doctor's appointments. And I just want to reiterate how much I am not judging you at all, because I am currently doing the exact same thing. Like, I'm putting off my dental checkup. There's loads of appointments that I need to go to. Like, I need to book an appointment to get some new glasses, so I need to book an eye test and things like that, and I just haven't done it. And I've needed to do it for a few months. So if you are in the same boat as that, I just think it would be important for you, for your emotional health as well, in order to get a physical health checkup. Like, I think it could benefit you so much if you were able to discover more about why you feel tired or burnt out, because I'm definitely getting that you are somebody who has struggled with some tiredness recently. And you could also be someone who, like, once it gets to this time of year, once it gets to spring, you start to feel a little bit better in the way that you feel less tired. But maybe this year you are still feeling really drained. And I know that if you're from the UK, the weather has been really up and down. Like, I live in the north of England, where it has still been like really rainy and quite cold and quite windy on some days. We haven't seen much sun yet. And I really just prefer when it's sunny. I'm just that kind of person. It doesn't have to be super hot. It just has to be like warm-ish and not raining. Like, I just love the sun, and I thrive when it starts getting lighter and it starts getting towards summer. So, you know, if that is the case for you as well, but it hasn't, you know, because we haven't had the best weather, if you are from the UK or wherever you're from, if you haven't had the best weather recently and you are more of a sun person rather than a wintry or autumn person, it could be that you are wondering why you still feel a bit rubbish. And in part, it could be due to the weather, but it could also be that, you know, you need to take some vitamins. I'm sorry to go on about it, but that is just what's coming through, that maybe you need to take some vitamins, maybe you are deficient in something, and it feels like it's stopping you from living up to your full potential, because maybe you have these goals in mind and you've just been too tired to like execute them to the full capacity because you've been dealing with this exhaustion. And some of it could be that you are working very hard. Like, I definitely think that could be the case, but there is something else about like you being deficient or you not fully looking after your physical health. This could even be the case that you are putting other people's needs before your own, like you are focusing more on other people's physical health and you are not, you know, nourishing yourself to the full capacity. If you have kids, I'm definitely getting this image of somebody who, like, you might be so busy with work and with your children, with looking after your family, that you end up skipping meals. And with like this strawberry milk sticker, I'm getting that you could be the type of person who, like, you know, if their child doesn't eat all their yogurt, you end up just eating the rest of your child's yogurt or something like that, but you don't nourish yourself properly. You don't feel like you have the time to give yourself a proper meal. I don't know why that's coming through, but I think it's just with this strawberry milk carton. It's like you could finish your child's strawberry milk carton, and great. Like, if you're getting some calcium from that strawberry milk, then that is brilliant. But equally, you need to take the time out to look after your physical health by nourishing your body, by eating something substantial. Don't just rely on your kids' scraps. Like, it's a good idea not to waste food, but equally, like, you need a proper meal is something that I'm getting. You need to look after yourself, and you might be shaking your head at me and, you know, saying to yourself, well, I just don't have time and I have to do this and I have to do this. But I think this is something that you really need to make time for, is looking after yourself. And if it's not a vitamin deficiency or something like that, it could just be in terms of managing your stress. It could be to do with lowering your blood pressure, if that is something that you are struggling with. And I absolutely hate it when people say, like, oh, you just need to manage your stress, as if like you can just stop yourself getting stressed. But I'm not saying if you do XYZ, the stress will disappear, like it will go away, but it's about minimizing the stress put on your body. So ways you could do this is by doing things like nourishing yourself, by cooking proper meals, by getting enough sleep when you are able to. I know that's easier said than done if you are a busy person, but I feel like a lot of you are really run down, and it's like, you might be in that sort of contradictory phase of being like, oh, why do I feel like crap all the time? Like, why do I feel really run down? Whilst not drinking water, not making yourself proper meals, not getting enough sleep. And then it's like, why do I feel rubbish? Well, that is why. And I'm not saying that's your fault. Like, if you know, there are things keeping you from getting an adequate sleep. Obviously, there are external factors at play that we have to take into consideration, but you ultimately need to make the changes to take the time to nourish your body to sleep better. Like, nobody can do that for you, and the situation won't miraculously get better if you continue to not do those things when you are able to. That is very much something that I'm getting. Another little bit of confirmation for you could be in relation to your career. If you are studying to become a nurse or a doctor or a clinician of some kind, somebody in the medical field, or if that is your job and that's why you are so busy and you are feeling very run down, this is just a little bit of extra confirmation that this is your pile. It could be that you are acquiring those skills in terms of becoming a clinician, of working in the medical field, and that is something that you're working very hard on, something that you're very focused on. Doesn't have to be the case. But if it is, it could be that the tea on you is that, you know, your family and friends are expressing pride about the route that you are choosing to go down career-wise. They are very proud of you for working on this goal, for working towards something. I'm also getting that the tea on you could be that people compliment your eyes a lot. It could be that there is something about your gaze that feels very mystical and perhaps mysterious, or it could just be that you are complimented in terms of your eye colour being very distinctive, being very unique. People could comment that they get lost in your eyes. This could be a very complimented feature of yours. I'm just getting that with, you know, her having very striking eyes. You could be told that you have a striking look about you. That is something to do with eye contact, maybe the eye contact being intense, or it feels like you can look into people's souls when you make eye contact with them, or something like that. It could also be for a very small minority that there is something to do with, you know, I'm getting something about, you know, when people have like two separate eye colours, like one of their eyes is blue and the other is hazel or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Is it hetero something? Heterochromia or something like that. I'm sorry if I've got that completely wrong. I can't Google it right now. But yeah, it could be that a few of you have that, and if so, that makes your features look even more beautiful and distinctive. And this is something that people really comment on. It's something people talk about, how pretty your eyes are or something like that. I don't know why, but I keep getting something about like this colour on the background of the card. Maybe some of you have recently bought something in a similar shade to this, like this green that's on the card. And if so, people might want to give you a lot of compliments on that. People could be saying that you really suit that colour, that maybe it really brings out your eyes, it makes them stand out or something. Something to do with your eyes and something to do with this colour on the card. So essentially, powerful, the tea on you is that you have very beautiful eyes, but you need to stop putting off all your appointments. Oh, as well, like with the imagery on the card, I'm getting the phrase listening to your heart, something about maybe you starting to listen to your heart more or something about that. I don't know what that means just yet, but maybe we will find out more about what that means in the tarot. I think as well she might be wearing a rose quartz necklace, so the crystal rose quartz could be significant to you in some way. I think rose quartz is associated with kind of Venusian energy. It always reminds me of Venusian energy, so that could be significant to you, Taurus or Libra. It doesn't have to be. We will roll the astro dice in the tarot portion of the reading, but it's just a little bit of extra confirmation if that does apply. That is what I'm getting for you for the oracle portion of your reading, Powerful. We are just going to move along to the tarot, so please bear with me and I'll see you in the tarot portion of your reading. Hi Powerful Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Okay, Powerful, we have the Eight of Pentacles. I feel like that came out in pile 1, I think. We have the Devil. We have the Ten of Pentacles. That's definitely come out in a couple of readings. We have the Ace of Pentacles. We have the Five of Swords in reverse. We have Strength in reverse. We have Justice. We have the Queen of Pentacles. and we have the Seven of Wands. So you got one extra card, and the other piles got 8 cards in total, and you got 9 because the Queen of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands came out together at the end, and I didn't want to put one back. I thought, it was relevant to the reading, so I kept it there. Definitely go and check out pile 2 because I am definitely getting some overlap with pile 2 with the cards that are coming through. If you weren't called to look at pile 2, then you don't have to go and listen, but we are getting a few of the similar cards, and it might be a kind of similar energy. Let me know if anything from there does resonate. So the tea on you, pal 4, I'm definitely getting this sense that there is something to do with your craft, something that you are working towards, a skill that you are developing that is making people really see you in this Queen of Pentacles energy. For some of you, it could be that you have re-established yourself, your position within a certain career, or you have gone down a different career route than the one that you originally intended. And it's like people are wanting to compliment you on this. With this Eight of Pentacles, it's like you do what you do to a very high standard. It's something you are very dedicated towards, you put a lot of effort towards it, but also with this Queen of Pentacles, and I'm getting like a lot of you, this could be nursing, it could be something in the medical field, it could be being a clinician of some kind, because the people you encounter, they, like if you do work in a space with other people, let's say you are a nurse at a surgery or something like that, it's like you are some people's favorite nurse or you are some people's favorite clinician. The tea on you is that people really see you in high regard. The people you get to work with, they see you as very generous, as nurturing, as caring, as really comforting, just in this total Queen of Pentacles energy. They see you as somebody who they would want to be around. Maybe like day to day they have dealt with other people in your profession or just in whatever aspect of life this is. Maybe they deal with other people who they felt like has been in their Queen of Pentacles reversed energy. Maybe they have dealt, like let's say you are a nurse, maybe they've dealt with other nurses who were a little bit cold, not very comforting, not very understanding, and what you bring to the table is like the opposite of this. What you are serving them is this very generous, nurturing energy. It's like you make people feel safe in your presence, you make them feel well looked after, you make them feel valuable as well, you make them feel valued as individuals. And I feel as though maybe this is due to like some hardship you have been through. So even if you work as a nurse in like the mental health field or something like that, you do that kind of work, it could be that you have dealt with your own mental health issues, because with this devil coming through, it's like you have dealt with your own difficulties, something that was keeping you down, something that was keeping you stuck in the past. For some of you, this could be a dependency of some kind on alcohol or on substances. This doesn't have to be the case at all. It could just be that you have been in a toxic pattern of behavior in the past with another person. Or maybe it feels like you've not fully been able to look after yourself in the past. So maybe you've dealt with struggles in terms of your self-care or something like that, really taking care of yourself, maybe nourishing yourself or something like that. It's just to do with, maybe you in the past being tempted into bad behaviors. And if it's not a behavior as such, if it's not, dependent on alcohol or substance abuse or in a toxic relationship, it could be in terms of like a battle with your own mind, like these thought patterns that weren't serving you. Perhaps some of you in the past have struggled with something like undiagnosed OCD, and you were getting sort of very repetitive thoughts, and it made you feel as though you could never go and live up to your full potential or pursue a certain career path because you were feeling trapped by these mental health issues and the struggles you were experiencing, something to do with that. But it's like you have used that to your advantage in many ways, and it's not that you've like just got over those issues, because this could be like a lifelong struggle for you. It's not like you've clicked your fingers and you've just snapped out of it, like you've got over it, because that's just not possible. But it's like you have turned this situation into really throwing yourself into your craft and working hard at something, and it's like you've used it to your advantage in the way that like you know how to empathize with other people, you can understand people very well, and you really value them because you know what it's like to be so low. So if, for example, you work in a mental health field, it's like the patients that you encounter, they really feel like you understand them. And it doesn't have to be that specific example in terms of mental health or even in terms of being in the health field. I'm only using that as an example because it did come through on the oracle card, but this could be in any facet of life where you encounter other people It's like you understand them and you really know how to make them feel valued. You really know how to make them feel comforted with your presence. I also feel like with this justice card showing up, I think the tea on you is that you are an incredibly fair and diplomatic person, because I think you know what it's like to be treated unfairly. And actually, I am getting some element of you potentially having dealt with some difficult intimidation in the past or bullying of some kind. This could have been in terms of like a previous job that you were in, or classmates if you were at college or university or something like that, or it could be like your neighbours or a friendship circle. Just a circumstance where it felt like you were forced to have to stick up for yourself. I think the tea on you is that you are incredibly good at sticking up for yourself now, but maybe in the past you struggled with this lack of confidence. Maybe it felt at certain points in the past like people were attacking you for no reason. But I think you were dealing with a lot of jealousy, particularly, if this is friendship circles. I think maybe in the past you had been in these toxic friendship circles where people turn against each other and it's seemingly for no reason. And it's like there's a lot of cattiness, a lot of gossip, but it all stems from jealousy. It stems from other people's envy. You have something that these other people wanted. And instead of them like admitting that to themselves or you, the reaction was to sort of single you out, to bully you, to try and intimidate you, to sort of shut down any confidence that you might have had. And with this strength in reverse, I'm really getting that to a degree this might have worked for a while, but it's not working now. Like you are really showcasing how high quality you are with this Eight of Pentacles. And I think you are really focused on your goals. And these people, whoever this was, like they are not having an impact on you anymore. But I feel like it has only solidified your ability to understand people very well and to bring justice to the situation, because you want to see people treated fairly. You advocate for equality. That is something that you give to people. You give them the ability to also advocate for themselves with the way that you have learned to stand up for yourself with this Seven of Wands. For some of you, the tea on you could be that you have exited a codependent or toxic relationship recently, like with this Devil showing up, but also with the other cards. This could have been a cycle that you have recently ended, like a pattern of behavior that you have broken free from. It feels as though you've escaped this situation and now you're very much focusing on bettering yourself or focusing on this skill you are hoping to develop, this career path or something like that. You are trying to bring justice to this situation, because this Five of Swords can sometimes indicate, it can indicate reconciliation, but it can also indicate cutting losses. So it could be that it reached a point where you had to just cut your losses and accept having to just force yourself to move on from a situation or a person, because ultimately they weren't making you feel strong. They weren't allowing you to assert your power or to showcase your power. I think maybe this person at certain points could have been a bully, like they could have made you feel inadequate. They could have stopped you from seeing your true potential. And now it's like if you have got out of that situation and you are looking back on it, a part of you could have wanted to seek revenge on this person for the way that they treated you. But it's like you channeled that energy of being angry and feeling like things were unjust and feeling as though, this person hasn't been punished for the way they treated you. It's like you have put that into advocating for someone else. And it could even be actually law. Obviously, I kept mentioning the medical field because of the card that we got in the oracle reading, but it could even be law with this justice card. Like you are studying law or something, or you are training to be a lawyer, or you are working a clerical role even at a law office, and you are learning more about the law generally or something like that, because it's like you wanted to channel the injustice of this particular situation into something worthwhile and something where you could showcase your abilities. And I feel like those abilities are really being showcased at the moment. I think the tea on you is that you have moved on so well from whatever this previous situation was. It was really holding you back. It was oppressing you. It was maybe leading you into engaging with some not very positive behaviors. If you were worried that this person, wasn't getting their comeuppance, if a part of you wanted to seek revenge when the situation ended with this person or with this group of people, I think the Justice card is showing you that ultimately the tea on you is that anyone who hurts you, it might not feel like it now, but they will get their karma tenfold. like some accountability will be had on their part. It could be that, if you didn't get a chance to express what this person had done to you, how they had treated you, particularly, if this was a colleague, like if it was at a job role, and I know that's probably not going to be the case for a lot of you. For a lot of you, it will be a closer connection, like a close friend or a romantic partnership, a marriage even. For a lot of you, it will be. But if this is something like a colleague who you felt bullied you, or they pushed you out of the workplace, they intimidated you, they made you feel weak or like you didn't belong, they made you feel powerless and helpless and trapped. It could be that you are thinking, like, oh, I wish I would have stuck up for myself in that situation. I wish I would have said XYZ to this person. You could reflect on this situation a lot and feel really angry that you didn't stick up for yourself as much as what you could have done. But it's like this person will get what's coming to them, because some of you could see this person on social media or something like that, even if you don't interact with them in your day-to-day life, and you might be thinking like, oh, like that's not fair that they get to live their best life, particularly if something you perceive as good has happened to them recently, and this was a person who bullied you or intimidated you or tried to make you feel small and inferior. You might look at their social media pictures and think like, wow, they don't deserve these good things, like if they've just got married or something like that, let's say, or they're going traveling. But what I want to say is that the tea surrounding this person, I know this reading is meant to be like the tea on you, but this could be something you're wondering, you've been thinking about. This person is really not happy. They are not as happy as what they are making out. They feel stuck, they feel trapped, even if you perceive it as like, oh, they've just got married recently and they're having an amazing life and that's not fair. Like, I don't feel like they deserve that. I'm just saying that relationship isn't what it appears to be on the surface. Like, that marriage isn't what they're making it out to be. There is some accountability and justice happening here, but it's happening behind the scenes. They are unhappy, but they are presenting very much this facade on the surface, and it might be easy to interpret that as like they are living their best life, but they are definitely not. I'm getting that there is a lot of unhappiness in this situation, so if that's something that you need reassurance about, and I'm not necessarily saying that you would wish unhappiness on anyone, but if you have felt as though something hasn't been fair in this regard, if you are like, well, this person seems to be really happy and it just doesn't seem fair that someone like that should have all these opportunities, it's like they are not getting the opportunities that they are making out. They are not as happy as what they're making out. That is the overarching message that I am getting. You, on the other hand, powerful, it very much feels as though new opportunities are heading your way. I think I got this in one of the other readings, and it could have even been Pal 2, because I know I'm mentioning that there is some overlap here. It could be that the tea on you is that you may be getting an inheritance soon, or something like that, something to do with an influx of money, something that allows you to create more opportunities for yourself. And with it being the pentacles as well, I'm getting that this is material in nature. For some of you, it could be that if you have reached an age where you are deciding to start a family with your partner or something like that with the Ten of Pentacles, this could be encouraging you to really focus on your physical health, get everything checked so you are in the best place possible in order to be able to focus on starting a family or something like that. Maybe that is a prevalent theme for you, that you need to sort of get yourself in order, make sure that your body is in the strongest place possible in order to be able to work on trying for a baby or something like that. I know that isn't going to apply for everyone. Please don't take it if it doesn't apply to you. For some of you, it could also be that you have done some kind of DNA test or something. I don't know why I'm getting that, but it's like there's some element of your ancestry coming into play. So maybe you are going to find out some tea on you or on your family history. It might not even be like to do with a DNA test or to do with ancestry. It could be something along those lines, making a new discovery in terms of your roots. But equally, it could just be some kind of family tea, like something is going on in your family, something is going to come to light, something is going to be exposed about your family or something like that, something that you are finding out. If there has been like a death in the family recently of any kind, and that is where this inheritance might be coming from, it could be that I'm getting something about finding belongings or finding letters or finding photographs or something like that. That spill some tea on your family. I know that might only apply for a few people, but it's just something that I wanted to mention because it is a message that I am getting. That is what I am getting for you with your tarot reading, Powerful. We are just going to finish this reading by rolling the astro dice for a little bit of further confirmation. So please bear with me and we'll do that now. Okay, Powerful. So we have Virgo here. We have Virgo. We have the seventh house, which also came out in Pal 3. And we have Neptune over here as well. So with Virgo coming through and Virgo being associated with the sixth house, which is all about implementing routines, all about health and the physical body, to be quite honest, this could just be a little bit of further confirmation that your priority should be focusing on nurturing you and your body right now, the very physical things that make you feel great and balanced, which includes attending any appointments you need to attend, getting your annual checkup, going for these appointments. If you have cancelled an appointment recently, this is your reminder that you need to rebook that. Because although this might feel tedious, although it might feel like a boring part of your routine, something that you just have to do and you've kind of been putting off because you feel busy and you're tired and you don't want to do it, it's like you are going to start feeling so much better if you actually go and attend that appointment and do it. It will mean that you are then able to stick to a more consistent routine. If that is something you've been struggling with due to this exhaustion or something like that, it could also mean that you checking on your health and looking after yourself will put you in the best mindset and the best place possible in order for you to achieve the things you want to achieve, whether that be working on your career, gaining a new skill, starting a family. It's just like you getting these health checks out of the way and getting like back on track in terms of your health is going to be what enables you to do the things you want to do. So it is important in the grand scheme of things. Virgo is also making me think of perfectionism, and I know we mentioned in one part of the reading that you might struggle with something like OCD. So it could be, I mean, I don't want to underplay having an actual diagnosis of OCD as being like a Virgo or something. I'm not saying that, but it could be that you have channeled some of the more destructive tendencies of whatever it is that you're dealing with, your obsessive tendencies, into something to do with your craft, to do with perfecting whatever it is that you're focusing on in terms of a career or in terms of developing a skill. It's like you are perfecting it, and people, the tea on you is that you are very dedicated to whatever this thing is that you're doing, and you are displaying a strength that people didn't even know you had. It's something to do with you finally living up to your full potential, channeling all these skills that you've acquired over time into this one thing that you are really focused on perfecting. With Virgo being associated with Mercury, it's making me think that people could be commenting on how intelligent and how analytical you are, how studious you are, particularly if you are in, say, nursing school or something like that. It could be that you are really showcasing your intelligence in terms of like the essays you have to write if you are at university or if you are doing a course, if you are studying. It could be that people are really commenting on how smart you are, how clever you are. With this seventh house showing up and the seventh house being associated with Libra, it could also be, you know, what we were saying in the oracle reading about you being this really, and I think actually we mentioned like Venusian energy in the oracle portion of the reading. I think we did anyway. But it could be that Libra is significant to you somehow, and that people really gravitate towards you due to your diplomatic nature, due to your friendliness, due to your charm. It's like the people you work with, the tea on you is that you can really get anyone to like you if you want to. And I'm not saying, you know, you are trying to get people to like you. I think you are just trying to show up and offer justice to people. Maybe, you know, if you do work in law or anything like that, or you work with people kind of on the outskirts of society or people who are oppressed, it's like you know what that feels like to some extent. So you can channel that anger that you have had towards being part of a certain subset in society, part of feeling like an outsider. You have channeled that into something that offers justice to other people and other situations. With Neptune showing up, it could be that dreams are significant to you at this time. Maybe you have been having some very vivid dreams. Maybe that is why you have been struggling with sleep or something like that. Perhaps something needs to change in terms of your bedtime routine, because maybe these dreams are quite overwhelming. Maybe you are having disturbed sleep and maybe something needs to change in terms of your bedtime routine. However, Neptune always makes me think of like Pisces energy and compassion, and it could be that your compassion is really helping propel you forward at this time in terms of the things you are focusing on. It's like you are both analytical and intelligent, but you also have the compassion that allows you to really relate to other people on a very human level. It allows you to empathize with people and to really understand people, as well as being able to view things from an objective lens with this Virgo coming through. And again, that only makes people warm to you more. So I think something that people say about you is that you are incredibly compassionate and you have a lot of love to offer to other people. Obviously, the seventh house is associated with relationships and partnerships. However, it could also be associated with enemies. And this could be somebody that we were talking about in the tarot reading. If it does feel like you have an enemy and they haven't been accountable for their actions, this could be further confirmation that they will be held accountable. But I think the tea on you is that even though you might want to seek revenge on your enemies, if you just focus on your own goals and what you are working on, and if you channel that rage into something productive, that will benefit you the most. Like, you do not have to think about this person who's hurt you. They will get what's coming to them. Justice will be seen in this situation. That is not something that you have to think about. So if this is still playing on your mind, this is just confirmation that that won't be the case for much longer. There will be some justice brought to this situation. That is very much the overarching message that I'm getting. Those are the messages that I'm getting for you, pal 4. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did enjoy the reading, please like the video, please comment, and please subscribe. All of that would mean so, so much to me. Thank you for being here, pal 4, and I'll see you in the next one.